As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's bumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, Gentry, and Caleb. We are back. Victory Monday, November 18th. Lions absolutely beat the brakes off the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did. Took care of them, 52-6. Didn't stand a chance. We got a lot to get to, boys. Injury updates regarding Anzalone. Maybe his replacement? I don't know. Practice squad, guys. Got a lot of
How about it?
We'll get to a lot. We got Kory Woods joining 8:30 to break down the game as well. We're talking a lot of different storylines from this game, boys. Jared Goff balling, Jack Campbell now without Alex Anzalone. The offense was spectacular, setting franchise records. The defense keeping up what they've been doing. Best team in football, Super Bowl favorites, and you got Boone drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, what is this? What?
It's another day in the life, Jeff Iafrate. Best football team in the NFL. Living the dream, brother.
Boom, turn the mic up a little bit.
Yeah,
Can you not hear me?
You might have the wrong mic hooked up, to be honest.
Do I have the wrong mic hooked up?
There we go. There we go.
Am I good? Audio, let me check. All right, I'm good. Am I good?
Yeah, it sounds like a different mic, Boom.
Yeah, it for sure sounds like a different mic. But
yeah, nothing.
No, I don't hear anything from that. It's okay, though. Hey.
I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you're good. Here we go. Welcome to the show. Shift guy we got in here. Bonjay, Jared, Mr. Perfect Goff. Steve Wild says David Long Jr. before the season was an above-average linebacker. Oh, Klotzy's excited to get Long Jr. Rumor is he may be a Klotzy guy. I mean, I'm not 100% certain there. But yeah, we got a lot to get to. I mean, the Lions, man, they took care. We talked about it today on Bleacher Report. They took care of the Jags, and I mentioned the yards differential. Oh, here comes Booner.
Am
I good?
Yeah, hey, this sounds like normal Boone now.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You sound great.
Go, baby. Football, Lions. Here we go.
Boone. So Boone.
Almost drowned myself. All right, here we go.
Boone.
Hey, Victory Monday. That's all that matters. Talk to me.
Lions offense.
Yeah.
600 plus yards of it on Sunday. Jags offense under 200 yards of total offense. Total offense. I'm talking rushing. I'm talking passing. They never stood a chance. That line should have been significantly higher than 14, and that was the highest, the biggest spread of the year.
It was not just
should have been higher.
It wasn't even the biggest spread of the year. Well, Jeff, and I'm gonna say this because I did tune into your. I heard you say, "Hey, spread should have been 29.5." I guarantee. I don't know if there's ever been a spread over 20 in the NFL. I could be wrong. That was the biggest spread, 14, in the history of the Detroit Lions. Of the history, Lions have never been favored.
Favoring them too, or just strictly like favoring and losing?
As a favorite. They have never been favored by that many points in the history of the franchise. I heard that from Pat McAfee. So if I'm wrong, he's wrong, and the ESPN people and statistic department are wrong. So don't come at me for that if that's wrong. I will say this, though, guys, and I've been, over the last 24 hours, I've had a lot of time to think about everything with this Lions team. I've come to a conclusion. This might be the greatest football team of all time. This is me of all time. We're looking at like the greatest show on turf. AG turning a defense that has so many injuries with Alex Anzalone now, Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, the commish, Ife Melifonwu, and somehow, some way, they have found a way to be a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. Not like 7 or 10 or 12. They're 5th in scoring defense right now in the NFL. They have the best offense. Not that just we've seen in the NFL. This, guys, when this offense is at the best, this is the best offense that we've seen in the NFL in, like, I don't know, since I've probably been alive. I've never seen an offense that's just going at this pace. I don't know if anyone else has. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat.
I'll give you one exception, Boone.
maybe like
2013 Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning.
all right, maybe that, but that's like an old Peyton Manning.
No, that was prime Peyton.
All right,
Then he got
I
old.
think
Then
he
he
was
got
old. He was probably in his 30s. I think that maybe not. Jared Goff's in his 30s. I take that back. I digress. I'm gonna say this though. This team, guys, is one of the best teams I've ever seen in my lifetime. Not just the Detroit Lions team, football team in general. When they're playing at their best with Ben Johnson, AG, special teams, Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra. Like down the line, I before the show, I went to Jeff. I said, and the people tell me if I'm missing anything. Please enlighten me if I'm missing anything. This Detroit Lions team, fellas, I made a list. They currently have the best running back duel, maybe of all time. And that's not like a crazy statement. They have the best safety duel currently in the NFL. They have a quarterback that's in the MVP conversation, top 3. They have the best offensive line in football. They have a top 5 tight end in football. They probably have the best offensive coordinator in football. They have probably, and someone can argue me this, and I'll stand on it. They probably have a top 3, you could almost say top 2 wide receiver duo currently in the NFL, if not the best. They have defensively, they have a top 10 linebacker. They have, again, I said it already, the top 10 or the best safety duel in the NFL. Corners, you could say, could improve. The linebacking crew, even without Anzo, it probably has the most depth in the NFL in the linebacking room. You just added Za'Darius Smith. You have AG, who is one of the better defensive coordinators in the NFL right now. You have one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL right now. Special teams is one of the best in the NFL. You have the best punter in the league. You have Jake Bates, one of the best kickers in the league. You have the best GM in the league. Guys, like, what's happening in Detroit is incredible. They right now, guys, are currently the first time ever in NFL history they are favored to win the Super Bowl. Think about that, boys. Like, and that's just not like it's not like a fluke. I just named literally almost every position group and every single thing that an NFL football team needs to have to win a Super Bowl, and they are top 2 in every single category, essentially, when it comes to all those players. That was what I thought about the last 24 hours, and I put it all together. The Detroit Lions are winning the Super Bowl, boys. There's going to be a parade in the city of Detroit down Woodward in February. The Lombardi Trophy will be brought back. Jeff, I heard you say it today. Jared Goff's going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Just let the Kool-Aid talk.
I don't have. It's crazy. I don't have many words. Like, this team is legit, boys. And a lot of people throughout the weeks have questioned the defense, this, that. No, like, this is a real football team. There's no one in the NFL that can question it. Whether they lose, they drop a game at some point, and you can never question this football team going forward. This is the best team in the NFL by a mile. One of the best teams in the NFL that I've seen in my lifetime. And it's crazy to say that that's the Detroit Lions, fellas. Like, it's absolutely insane to be able to say that.
Hey, Boone, you kind of led me right into my next segue. I'm not going to go best team of all time.
Ever.
I'm not going to even try to knock you down from that hill, Boone, because the way that they look, they're looking like it. We haven't seen a team this good and probably last, at least offensively, over the last 10 years. I would say that this is probably the best offense since I said that 2013 Broncos team, and then the greatest show on turf with Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame running back, and Marshall Faulk, Hall of Fame left tackle, and Orlando Pace. But you look at this Lions offense, I mean, I don't think they got 4 Hall of Famers at the skill position, but they got guys that have Hall of Fame type talent with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, then obviously Penei Sewell. When you add that in with how Aaron Glenn is coaching this defense, yeah, Boone. I mean, they just moved up. I think they're plus 375 to be the Super Bowl favorite. There is a gap, especially now that the Kansas City Chiefs finally were exposed offensively for not being able to keep up with another elite quarterback on the other side of the ball that's not in week 1. The Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL, and I just think they're the most complete team, regardless of the lack of talent they have compared to some teams on the front 7. This team just can't be stopped. There's not a single weakness inside that roster. With Jack Fox didn't even step on the field yesterday. You didn't see him once, and he's arguably the best punter in the fucking NFL, and you don't even step foot. That's how good they are. So going forward, the Lions could drop, and I don't think they will. They drop a game to the Colts this weekend. I do not care, because what I have seen through 10, 11 weeks, there's not a team that is this as even close to as consistent as the Detroit Lions. We see the Bills. I think the number 2 team. We'll get into power rankings later on in the week, but in my opinion, right now, Bills are the number 2 team in football. They are not as balanced through the air and on the ground as the Detroit Lions, and they sure as hell do not have the offensive line that they did, especially with Deion Dawkins getting hurt last night. So it's the Detroit Lions and then a fucking gap to the rest of the NFL as of right now.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like if this defense can hold teams to under 20 points, you're going to win every game. I mean, that's kind of what it is at this point. Now, can an offense have bad days? Of course. But it would have to come down to this offense just shooting themselves in the foot, like turnovers, playing terribly. I mean, you saw against the Texans, they didn't hold the Texans to 20, but they held them to 23. Lions came back and still won, throwing 5 picks. So, and not just that, I don't want to harp just on the picks, but just playing bad offensively. They couldn't run the ball in the first half. So if they're able to do that against the Texans, who I do respect and I still think is a very good team, then they're tested. They have been.
Yeah.
I know it's looked easy in the regular season, and our expectation is they will play this way into the playoffs and be this dominant throughout the entirety of the NFC, all the way into the Super Bowl and whoever they face. But they've been tested. They were tested against the Texans, and honestly, you want that game. You want a game where Jarrett or the offense is struggling. The defense has to come and make plays, and hold the Texans scoreless in the second half. I mean, even if it was a shootout, which could happen in the future, where the defense just isn't playing well and a team scores 28 on you, 27, 30, I would still be confident this Lions offense can keep up and score 33, 31, score one more point than the opponent, even if it goes to overtime and they get the ball first. You're like, okay, they're scoring. That's how good this team is. I agree with most of what you said, Boone. I mean, I'm not going to even argue it. They are stacked everywhere. They are stacked. And honestly, the biggest thing is having this coaching staff and how elite they are. You don't worry about them looking past teams. It seems like every week these guys are prepared. They are ready to face whoever is in front of them. And it seems like they already have the answers to the test every week. That's what it feels like. Every week, it's like no matter who they play, all the way into the Super Bowl, they will have the answers. They just have to go execute. And this offense and defense, they've been executing damn near perfectly. I mean, it's been beautiful football. This Lions team, they deserve to be the Super Bowl favorite. I mean, at this point, in my lifetime, I know all of our lifetime, we're around the same age, we've never seen a Lions team this dominant, let alone you've seen very little NFL teams be this dominant. It just doesn't, it doesn't happen often. I mentioned it in the video I talked about today, kind of reacting to the win. The last explosive offense that was fun to watch, in my mind, would be right off the top of my head a couple of years ago when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and they were humming, and they had Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes is slinging it down the field. Everything's going well. It's like, wow, this is explosive. They have the best offensive mind in football. But then when you really look at it, they didn't have the offensive line this team has at all. They had to rebuild it after Tyreek. That was their weakness. They didn't have the run game that this offense has. Like, they had Kareem Hunt, but they have now Jameer and David Montgomery. So even when you think of that Chiefs team that went on and won Super Bowls, it's not – they have Mahomes, yes, and Andy Reid, yes. But as a complete team, dude, this team it's stacked
from top to bottom, every single aspect of the team. The thing that I look at too, and I think it was when you get to a team where you're sitting at 9-1, 10-1, whenever you end up getting to 8-1, like last week, and it's easy to question. We've seen teams in the past, like the Eagles last year. What did they start? 10-0, 9-0, or whatever it was.
10, they were
all
10
apart. Absolutely
10-1. You've seen the 49ers have the years that they've had and always fall short in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. You've seen the Vikings go, win 12, 13 games, fall apart in the playoff. The thing with this Lions team, especially when you look at the Eagles or you look at some of these teams in the past, like the Steelers a couple years ago when they did it, those teams, when adversity hits, it's over. It's like not just the game, but you could start seeing things fall apart game by game by game. And there are weaknesses in those teams. And like an example, Jeff and Klotz, think about the 49ers last year. Do you remember when they went on that losing streak and everyone was like, how did they go on that losing streak when they lost to Cleveland? And I think they lost 2 more games, or, I think it might have been 2 or 3 games. Yep. What happened? Players went down. Guys got hurt. Their best players got hurt. What happened when the Detroit Lions team lost Aiden Hutchinson? They haven't lost yet. They lost their best. Yeah, they lost their best defensive player, and they went from 12th best defense in the NFL all the way up now to the top 5 scoring defense in the NFL. And it's the same. Anzalone was out for a week, found a way to win. All the Davenport's out, find a way to win. Jamo suspended for 2 games, find a way to win. Guys are constantly in and out of this team. And you see the 49ers team in the past, when they lose 1 or 2 guys, you've seen it this year. They're 5-5 because they don't know what they're losing players here and there, and they can't get a rhythm. Guys, when the Lions lose players, guess what? they still find a way to win football games or even stay in a game. Like there's no like step back. And that's like, I think a little bit more so to like the depth that Brad's talked about it for a couple of years now, when people want him to give up draft picks, go trade. Remember last year, the trade deadline, all these different times, or go get big free agents, go. And Brad always emphasizes like, I want depth on this football team. Like now you see Anzo go down for 6 to 8 weeks. And then you look at it and you go, okay, who do you have? You have Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, Trevor Nowatzki, Ben Neiman. Like you have guys now that can step up that you literally can trust. And it's the same thing in the safety room. You know, you have Brandon Joseph. You have different guys who it's like they have been able to build a good defense with depth out. And like the defensive line, yeah, they went down, but guess who stepped up this year? Josh Paschal, Levi O. And like when guys get hurt. So I just don't see a way. And Jeff, to your point, like with the Texans game, typically when you see like, hey, this offense is going to play bad, they lose a game because they had the best offense in the NFL. That's like opposite of the case for the Detroit Lions. Like the Texans game, the offense was playing so bad. And guess what? Defense helps keep them in the game. Special teams helps keep them in the game. And then the second half, they can turn the switch and they're rolling. And they don't like, that's the game right there. When we're talking about what type of game, like look at the schedule. What game are you going to lose? The way that Texans game played out, that should have been it. And they found a way to win somehow. And like, you just don't see that. Like you probably see teams like that, like some of those Patriots teams, maybe. Klotz mentioned the Broncos team, some of these Chiefs teams. You don't see teams in the NFL very often get to a point to where when they're losing players, they're still the best team in the NFL. When they're playing bad, they're still going to win football games. Like that is such it's such a rare thing to find in the NFL. So I think this team is like, it's completely different. Like if they go on to win the Super Bowl, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I would argue that this goes down to be a top 5 team of all time.
Yeah, if they finish the job, they go down as one of the best teams of all time. That is like even the undefeated Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl. So if you go 16-1 and you win out, you have one loss on the entire year and win the Super Bowl. They are, no doubt, they are one of the best teams of all time. I mean, and ironically, it would be with the Detroit Lions, who haven't won anything in any of our lifetimes. So it's even more ironic. But I just don't, besides them basically shooting themselves in the foot, there is no, it's going to be hard to beat this team. I mean, Tom Brady, he put it so well when he was on the broadcast, kind of breaking it down, like, and he compared it to his time with the Patriots and kind of how if they were handling this type of offense, it would be basically Bill telling the guys, Bill Belichick, hey, they're going to score. We need to at least be disciplined defensively and, try and make it hard on them. But even like the best defensive minds, it's going to be hard to stop this offense. You got to try and slow it down. And by slowing it down, it's probably still like one of the more better offenses in the league. I mean, even like honestly, the Lions slowed down is probably better than half the league offensively. Like that's how
I would say like 80%.
So they need to. I mean, they have to beat the Colts this week. We all agree, and I think they will. But to Klotz's point, like it's not even like, oh, they can't lose. They're perfect. Like they have to finish the job, obviously. But even if they lose to the Colts, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, obviously context matters. But we're not going to be sitting here going, what? Like, this team's a fraud? Like, dude, they're 9-1. Like, they have one loss on the year. Besides the Chiefs, they're the only team with one loss. Everyone else has more losses. So I'm not gonna freak out this week if they lose to the Colts. Like, that's why I said on the show when we talked about losing a game for the rest of the year, I always said they're going to drop another game or two. It's just how the NFL works. Does that, I guess, dictate how I feel about the Lions? And no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Unless they lose Jared Goff for the year. It doesn't. So I'm not going to overreact if there's a loss or two on the year. I'm just not. We're talking big picture here, fellas. This team, especially NFC, I don't see a team in the NFC that can beat the Lions. Like, I just don't. We talked about this today, Klotz. Like the Eagles, the star power's there. But in terms like coaching, cohesiveness, the Lions have had years with Ben and AG. The Eagles just got Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Like they're new coordinators with a coach who's known to basically screw up games, and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, who sometimes just doesn't look right for some reason. And that's the only team I would say that's relatively close. I mean, every other team, the 49ers just dropped one of the Seahawks and Geno. So the NFC to me, it's it's really the AFC you're looking at.
The team that worries me the most out of the NFC isn't even going to win a division. It's the LA Rams, because when you look up just matchup wise, I think they would give the Detroit Lions the biggest matchup worry, just because when they played them in week 1, obviously went into overtime, but they had a lot of injuries. Defensively, Jared Verse is coming on, but Puka Nacua didn't finish that game. I think I would rather play the Philadelphia Eagles without a doubt over playing the LA Rams again in the playoffs. There's not a team that's even close to the talent of the Detroit Lions. Like even the Eagles, I'm sorry, talent-wise, they're a very good team, very talented. I don't think they're close to the Detroit Lions, even in the up front. And then you move to it, okay, so who would give up, like the Packers? Saw what happened there. They can come into Detroit, try to pull off a miracle. Even if they do come playoff time, I do not trust Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love to win that game. Nobody in the NFC North worries me. No one in the NFC South sure as hell does not worry me with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin banged up. NFC East, we talk about the Eagles, so that leaves the NFC West. You're not worried about the 49ers the way that they're looking. Seahawks, we saw that movie already. It looks like they're not going to be getting any better. Then we just talked about the LA Rams are probably the only ones. Cardinals is a cute story. They're probably a year away. They got to get some more actual stars on defense. But the Rams are the only team that would be concerning in the NFC, in my opinion, in the playoffs.
Agreed.
I think the biggest thing, like Klotz, I love it. I just don't think like if you would. It's crazy to think because year 1, year 2, like before you got Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, Jeff, we talked about it on the stream. Like Dan has lost games his first year and a half as a line. Like he was making mistakes, but it was like, all right, you need to give him some leeway because he is a first-time head coach. Now with that though, it's just like Dan's gonna outcoach you every week. And I said it with the Chiefs, like week 1 last year, opening night. I know they didn't have some of the players, but like Dan, Ben, and AG had a perfect game plan, went into Kansas City. And just dominated, like from start to finish. It felt like yeah, there was probably a game, but it felt like there was like we were doing a watch party last year. It felt like they had full control, and that was last year. Now a whole nother year under his belt, playoff football, NFC Championship game. It's like I'll put Dan Campbell up against any NFL coaching staff in the NFL to be like, hey, we're going to be prepared for this Sunday. And it's like think about like the mistakes that get made. The Texans game, I kept bringing this up on Sunday, like. Ben's like, this was my worst coach game or worst offensive game in 2.5 years as the OC. And he came back and had one of the literally, like statistically, the best offensive performance in Detroit Lions franchise history. Like they broke the all-time total yards record for a game. They had the most first downs ever in a Lions history game. And that was like coming off the back of his worst performances in OC in Detroit. And he was like, I have something to prove. And I think that's something with like this Lions team. It's in the playoffs anytime, like, we're going to come prepared to beat you. Like we're not going to beat ours. Like you better be on your A game when you come and play us. That's where it's like, for me, I don't see a team in the NFL, like, or even the NFC, like what coaching staff is going to outcoach Detroit Lions team right now? Not one. I cannot name an NFC team. Now, when you get to the Super Bowl, you could argue maybe Kansas City with Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and those guys and Matt Nagy. Like you could argue that. But again, that you're in the Super Bowl at that point. And you guys know my point with the Super Bowl, where remember, Klotz, we got in the argument a couple months ago where it was like, I don't know if they can without Hutch. Like, I think like you get in that game, anything could happen, especially with Dan Campbell and AG and Ben Johnson and the team that you have now. Anything could happen. And I think they're a better football team now, and I think they would outcoach them now today, and I think it'll be the same thing in February. But I just can't see a team or a staff in the NFC that can compare to what the Lions are doing. Like there's like the Lions could they have the best game plan in the world and they're all struggling and like, we're a couple mistakes and there still will be any team in the NFC. Yeah. You know, like you can afford to make mistakes and still win a game by 2 touchdowns. That team can.
Because this team, and this is the thing that separates the Lions, I think, from any team in the NFL. Not too many teams can beat you in different ways. Offensively, defensively, they take the ball away consistently. Like that's gonna cause problems for any quarterback. Like you telling me Jalen Hurts against this secondary, he's already thrown some boneheaded picks already. I mean, he's prone. He'll give up the ball. This safety duo is proven to get a ton of takeaways. They're both up there in the league in interceptions. So those deep shots to A.J. Brown is not necessarily going to go as planned. And then if you look at the Chiefs, Mahomes is always something, but he hasn't played great ball either. He's turned the ball over this year. And Travis Kelce doesn't quite look the same. So these offenses, the Lions can travel anywhere. okay, if the pass game's off, well, they can run the ball with two of the really the best running back duo in the league, one of the best of all time, and the best offensive line. They can dominate you physically, dominate you in the trenches. And now with Za'Darius Smith, like, he looked really good out there, guys. I mean, he did. Za'Darius Smith looked very good. So with this team as currently constructed, how physical they are on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage, they can match up with anyone. Even with the Chiefs, they have a better offensive line now and a pretty good defensive line, but the Lions can match up perfectly with the Chiefs. It would be a great matchup, especially if
I don't think there's a team in the AFC. Like, I'm really interested to see this Detroit Lions versus Buffalo Bills game. Like, that's going to tell you a lot, and I think the Lions obviously are the best team, so I think they'll dominate them. That's going to be like a Super Bowl type matchup there. Like, I don't think the 49ers game, like, are you that worried about that 49ers matchup at this point? Like,
no, I wonder how they'll look at that point. They might be playing I think they'll still make the playoffs maybe as a wild card, but they might be looking at that as just like, let's try and like upset them type of game. You know, they might play their hardest, but no Brandon Ayuk, their defense doesn't quite look the same at times. I mean, Bill Belichick said it on Pat McAfee. That's not the same 49ers team as last year. Like, they lost defensive guys. They have Brandon Ayuk out. Christian McCaffrey doesn't look quite the same. It's a different team.
And I would say this too, and I don't. This isn't, and maybe this is a hot take. This John Harbaugh coach team from top to bottom, his coaching staff can't figure it out. They're not the same. They lost the DC. What's his name that went to Seattle?
Mike McDonald. Yeah,
and that team from top to bottom. And I know John's a defensive guy. They have not, like, he can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not going to win their division. So, like, I'm not worried about a Super Bowl versus the Ravens. Like, the only team that really is like, okay, we have to really be on, P's and Q's is the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of the day. Like, that's how I look at this right now. It's you're going to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
This Bills game, I will say, boys, I'm glad this Bills game happens late in the year, and then they have the 49ers game. I'm actually glad they have their tougher games at the end of the year. I'm ready for that. Green Bay, you get the Vikings again. Like, this is a good opportunity for them to get some tough matchups and kind of get playoff ready here, because the Bills could be a Super Bowl preview. The way they're playing right now, they'll be at Ford Field, and I was at the game at Thanksgiving when they lost to the Bills last time. And I think they're better suited to match up with the Bills this year. I mean, even though you got Josh Allen, I get it, mobile quarterback, which I am excited to see them this week against Anthony Richardson, another mobile quarterback. That'll be another litmus test for Lions fans, for the Lions. So I am excited for that Bills game. They're going to flex that to Sunday night, by the way. It's at 4 o'clock. No way it stays at freaking 4 o'clock. There's no way. That's
can we have
a year, to be honest with you?
Trust circle, all trust. I would like to just the chat to say yes. I just want to on record, like off record, on record type deal here. Just trust circle.
No one will remember.
All right, I just want to see at least one yes from the chat. I want to see a yes. I just want to see a yes here because I'm interested, and I know Kory's coming on too. So I'm gonna ask Kory this probably when he gets on because I'm interested. These games at the end, these 49ers Bills games. I don't want to speak into existence like a loss or anything. If you lose, that's not a good thing, but it's kind of a good, like, you're learning. Like, you're like, okay, we got this loss out of the way before the playoffs. Yeah. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, all right, because right now you feel unbeatable. The Detroit Lions feel unbeatable right now. You've won, 8 straight games? You're sitting there and you're like, as a fan and as people who cover the team, you're like, yeah, this is an unbeatable team. You want to figure out how can teams beat you so you can fix that before the playoffs, before the tournament. Like, you want to be like, we need to know, like, if there's a weakness, if there's a way a team can beat us, how do we prevent that? And I think, like, I'm not saying I want them to lose at all. Like, I would love for them to go 16-1, win the rest of it, and go win a Super Bowl. But if it were to happen, I think that's the aspect you look at it. Like, okay, now we know. Like, all right, this was our weakness. This is how we fix it. Trust circle. I don't want to put that in existence, but I'm saying I think that could be a possibility down the line with that 49ers or Bills game.
Replying to your trust circle, Boone. This is just, again, trust circle. What do you think the difference would be between losing to the Buffalo Bills and San Francisco 49ers versus being down 16-17 at half to the Houston Texans on the road, realizing, oh shit, we just threw 5 interceptions. We need to find a way to win this game.
No, I'm asking the difference
where when you see that compared to a loss, but they
I
find a
think
way
it's
to
it's the same thing. I don't think it's any different. I just think it's more so like you've just went and won 8 straight, 9 straight. When you get to the Bills, it'll be like 9 or 10. When you get to the 49ers, if you're still winning, that's 11. Like, it's just like, all right, a little reality check. Like, okay, this is what it is. Like, okay, let's get grounded a little bit here. That's just, all right, that was trust circle. I don't want to act like I'm out here. I'm sorry. That's on me.
No, then that's
The Dallas Cowboys just went for a fake punt,
That
and it was
that
the
was-
worst
I
thing.
was gonna say,
Dan
that was
Campbell's at
disgusting.
home probably like screaming at his TV, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and bro
well,
paid for it too.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know a guy that wouldn't fall for that shit. It's Kory Woods. He would never fall for
Legend.
Shout
You know
out.
what?
Legend Kory Woods.
that. He,
Where high IQ.
yeah, high IQ.
Defense.
Yep, Dan Campbell type of guy, gritty. He's chilling in the lobby. We're gonna bring him in here. Covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Please give him a follow on X as well. It does great work. Kory's a legend. Joins us. He's been joining us on Victory Mondays. I like it. I like
I
having
love
Kory.
it.
Please welcome to the show, Mr. Kory Woods. Kory, how you doing,
What's
my
the
man?
deal? Can't complain. What's going on?
Hey, Kory, we're just talking about the absolute ass whooping we had to endure on Sunday. Not the Lions, the Jags, of course.
Yeah,
and
of
just
course.
the historic performance. I mean, it is ridiculous, Kory. We had this. We've been talking the last 20, 30 minutes just about, history and where the Lions land as a team. I know they have to finish the job, but your thoughts on just the performance, like maybe in context, like historically, 600 plus yards of offense is insane. That is like franchise. I think it's a franchise record, right? Correct me if I'm wrong
Believe
on that.
so.
But
Yeah,
it
that's
is
yeah, 645 yards of total offense. That is a franchise record.
Oh my God! Your thoughts on this whole thing? The 9-1, no Aiden, Za'Darius. I just take it away, Kory. This is amazing. 9-1 team.
Well, I mean, first off, you won by 46 points. That is not supposed to happen in the NFL. These guys
No,
are
it is not.
professionals. That is the worst loss in Jacksonville Jaguars history, replacing the previous worst loss where they lost by 44 points, also to the Detroit Lions in 1995. So their top two losses in franchise history have been to the Detroit Lions. So that's something right there.
That's crazy
teams
work, by
that-
the way. That's crazy work.
Yeah,
by the way.
first time they've been 9-1 since 1934. We're talking about they have not had a 9-1 start to their season in 90 years. That's pretty astonishing right there in itself. And I mean, it seems like every week, with the exception of last week, it seems like every week this team is breaking a new record. But they did what great teams do. Yesterday was an example of, and I like to say this, people have been kind of catching on to it. I don't want to be the one who takes originality for it, but the Lions didn't play with their food. They could have easily came out and played down to the competition, kind of been lackadaisical, try to do every trick play in the book. No, they just simply did what Kirby Joseph said, BTE. I'm going to say belt to backside for you guys. But I mean, if you want me to say it, it was belt to ass. I mean, it was an incredibly dominant performance. It was one that I believe that they were not only looking for but needed after the game against the Texans. Even though they still won the game, it's just that you want to go ahead and put up a decent showing, at least a decent showing, and they put up more than a decent showing. Their past 2 home games at Ford Field, they have scored a total of 104 points. Nuts. This is something that none of us in our lifetime have ever seen. And I think right now the fan base deserves it, and the Lions are putting in work. They're just looking like the best team in football. They're doing what great teams do. They put away teams that are inferior. And I think the one thing that was really telling about yesterday, and it may not get that much love, was that the Lions probably could have took the foot off the gas a little bit of a couple times, but they still kept going forward on fourth down, and they went 3 for 3. So it was just complete domination across the board. We did our Dungeon of Doom podcast yesterday. You can check that out on Spotify, anywhere you download your podcast. And we struggled for 30 minutes trying to figure out what to say, because it's like the worst thing you can say about that game was the Alex Anzalone injury. Aside from that, it's just like, what are you going to critique?
Yeah.
Kory, I do want to bring this up. I think I actually asked you this last week when we had the conversation about Aaron Glenn and the defense. And I know, like, yesterday's game, it felt like it was the defense wasn't covered up, but obviously going up against Mac Jones, it wasn't as an elite defense. And then the offense goes and has 650 yards. But defensively, I put a tweet out today just looking at all of these rankings that the Lions defense has, and it's just they're top 5 in almost every defensive category outside of like the yards. And I know we had the conversation about how the yards really don't matter last week. Can you talk about this defense? You were there yesterday. They just fly around. It looks like they have the best safety duo in the NFL with Kirby and Brian, and then, like, obviously the Anzo injury hurts. And can you also kind of just talk about like the depth in that linebacking room going forward? Like, are they going to be able to sustain this top 5 defense type of thing without Anzo over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and kind of with these different guys, Trevor Nowatzki, Malcolm Rodriguez, Jack Campbell, and those guys?
Yeah, and also got to add Neiman in there. His dad, Campbell,
Neiman,
he's a guy that can play all of them.
He's everywhere too.
Yeah, So as far as the Anzalone injury, it sucks, but this is why right now it's paramount for the Lions to go ahead and go get that number 1 seed, because if you're looking at the 6 weeks, that puts it said a 6 to 8 week timeline for Anzalone to come back. The 6 weeks puts you at the end of the season. The 8 weeks puts you at the divisional round. So if you can go ahead and wrap up that number 1 seed, they need to go ahead and do that. And with the Philadelphia Eagles on their heels, I think the Lions just to go ahead and just do their best to just try and run this table. With the defense, you got to give much credit to Aaron Glenn, because every week it's always something that he has to deal with as far as an injury or a player not being at his best, because even on top of the Anzalone injury, Carlton Davis came in that game with a broken thumb. So I mean, these guys are battered up, but I mean, they just somehow continue to make it work. And also another thing we just found out today, Ifeatu Melifonwu, he's going to be taking his 21-day clock was started on November 6th. He's not going to be coming back because he suffered another injury that's not related to his ankle injury. So that's a guy that they're going to be missing, and it's uncertain if he's going to return. So you got to give credit to Aaron Glenn for the way that he's been able to patch his defense up as they go. I believe you asked something about Za'Darius Smith, if I'm not mistaken. In his first game, I thought he was pretty good. His first snap, I thought he was a little slow off the ball, but from there on, he was just lights out. What he did is not going to show up on the stat sheet per se. I mean, he did get the sack at the end, but the pressure that he brought, the attention that he commands, it freed up some of the other guys to go ahead and make plays. But I mean, you can say the same thing about Aaron Glenn each week when it comes to the defense. He's just figuring out a way to make it work. They respond to him, they listen to him, and they play hard for him just as much as they're playing hard for Dan Campbell. And it's proven. I mean, this is a top tier defense, and it's okay to say that.
And top tier defense, top tier offense to go with it. And part of that, especially yesterday, Kory, was Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, each over 120 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. When you look at that duo and you compare it to, I'm just going to throw out a couple examples. In Atlanta, you got Drake London, Darnell Mooney balling out. Miami, not so much this year. You got Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Cincinnati, Jamar T. Higgins, and Philadelphia, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. When you look at how Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo are playing, where would you, and I know it's kind of hard to do it off the spot, where would you rank that wide receiver duo, how they've been playing at least this season?
I still think it's inconclusive because I don't think we've really seen them at their apex yet to really compare them to those other guys. But what I will say is this. If you just factor in at full strength the Lions wide receiver, their pass catchers, from their receivers to their tight ends, I would say the Lions have the best in the league. I mean, you got a guy like Sam Laporta. When you go to the tight end, Sam Laporta and is the all-pro already. And you have Brock Wright, who is no slouch, who's shown to step up in moments when needed. And then if you just go from their receiver core from top to bottom, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Tim Patrick, Allen Robinson, Khalif Raymond, who is a guy that I believe when you talk about their threats, he is probably the most their unsung hero, because all the thing that Khalif Raymond has ever done since coming to Detroit is answer the call when his numbers called. So it's I don't know how to compare them two just yet. I believe they have the potential to be one of the best, but they have top 5 potential. Honestly, I think they have top 3 potential when you factor in Jamison Williams as an athlete and just a freak of nature, and then just Amon Ra all around St. Brown. They have top three potential, but I don't think they're just there yet. And I believe that's because we need to see more consistency out of Jamison Williams as far as availability and just performance on the field. But when he plays like he did yesterday, you understand why the Lions went ahead and grabbed him. You understand why they're, giving him chance after chance to redeem himself, because he is a game changer. When he catches and turns that corner, there's nobody stopping him. There's nobody catching up to him. I think it's fair to say he's up there. I'm not going to put him past Tyreek Hill, but he might be 1B fastest wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Kory. I want to ask you about the signing that occurred today. David Long Jr., they brought him into the practice squad, played for the Dolphins, was cut, didn't have a great last 2 years with Miami, but he was pretty solid in Tennessee. We were talking about it earlier in our group chat. It seems like the Lions bring guys to the practice squad, kind of bring them along and then see if they can develop, see what they have left in them. Would you make, I know some, I put out a video today and fans, there were some that were very excited, like, oh, maybe everyone believes, and rightfully so, that this coaching staff can just pull everything out of a player and turn them back into peak form. What do you make of that signing? And what, in your opinion, what do you think kind of the plan is for David Long? More of a body or someone that you think they might have a plan for him to potentially play some snaps in the future?
I think it's just a guy that is bringing as a body. I mean, you need to bring in somebody with, guys going out left and right with injuries. So right now, I just think it's a body. But the Lions have shown that if a guy shows up in practice and excels well, then they're going to give him a chance. And I mean, we've seen that with Tim Patrick. Well, Tim Patrick is already going to be elevated. So that might be
Allen Robinson.
But Allen Robinson that's what I want to go with. Allen Robinson. Yep. I mean, you bring a guy in, he shows out. Hey, we're gonna give you a shot. We're gonna give you elevation. And I mean, it's always been next man up with this Lions team. So I think right now it's just a body, but again, we'll see. You never know. He might show up and show out, and get some playing time out there.
Hey, Kory. So the thing was going around, obviously, social media right now, the Kirby Joseph post game, and obviously a couple weeks ago, Xavier McKinney kind of had those comments about the Detroit Lions blowing teams out and doing all that. What are your thoughts on this? Because obviously yesterday it was a 46-point win. I'm in agreement with Kirby. I think it was Kirby, and also Carlton Davis, who had made the comments. Hey, like you just got to show up and play football if you don't want to get blown out. Like, this is the NFL. What are your thoughts on that whole thing there, where the Lions just absolutely dominating teams, and then some people around the NFL bringing this stuff up?
Well, first off, it's the NFL. These guys are paid to play. I think it would be even more insulting that if guys could blow you out and they chose not to and showed mercy. Just go ahead and go with the kill shot.
Spot on.
If you're on the field, you got to play. I mean, the Lions are paid. It's not like the Lions were going up against an AAU team. They were going up against paid professionals. And if you want to stop them from getting in the end zone, you have the ability to do that. And they just could not do it. So, I mean, I don't understand, this whole thing. It's not like Little League or something like that when you're up 21 points and they do the running clock to get the game over. That's not what we're doing here. But also, too, you have to understand this. This is a fan base that, and I want to say this carefully, this is a fan base that doesn't want to hear that bleep. This is a fan base that has been suffering for a long time, and they deserve to see wins like that. They deserve to be able to see a Lions team go out and win in convincing fashion compared to years past when you would go into Lions games wondering if they can win this game, if they can compete. This is something different. So, I mean, and then here's the last part about it. Was anybody saying this when the Lions were on the receiving end of some of those ass whoopings?
Right.
No, they weren't. I mean, nobody was saying like, oh, to those other teams, oh, don't take it easy on the Lions, No, they were. The Lions were a running joke. So, I mean, as I say, me and my friends say, the get back is MFer.
Yeah, it is true. And the get back for Jared Goff this week was very sweet. You saw him probably put his best offensive performance of the season together, Kory. Where do you think after 2 weeks ago against the Houston Texans, 5 interceptions, whether you want to blame them all on him or not, regardless, 5 interceptions, took a big hit to his MVP stock. When you look at how he played, When you look at the Buffalo Bills coming to town week 12 against Josh Allen, 49ers down the road, do you think there's any chance, even after Josh Allen won against Patrick Mahomes last night, that Jared Goff could potentially sneak back into this MVP race as a true front runner?
Okay. If you had to ask me right now, I would say no, because and here's the thing. I know people like to say Jared Goff had two couple of bad games in a row, where that's not really all the way accurate. I mean, against the Texans, I mean against the Titans, he couldn't really put up any real stats. He had 3 touchdowns, but he couldn't even really put up any real stats because he was in the red area so much. The Packers game, it was what it was, and then you have just an all outright bad game against the Texans. But I think that if he plays how he did yesterday, and he has 2 or 3 more of those performances, and he's able to stay with single-digit picks, which means he can't throw another interception, I would say if he can stay with single-digit picks or even go somewhere maybe 10, finish with 10 or 11 picks, but still has the type of game he had yesterday, I think he could get in the conversation where he can, but can he get back to being a front runner? It really depends. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, right now, even with yesterday's loss, Lamar Jackson, and it's kind of crazy to say, Lamar Jackson is playing his best football of his career, and he already has 2 MVPs. So it's real tough to say, but again, you have a bounce. That was a hell of a bounce back game, and if he has a couple more of those, and he stays somewhere between the 10 to 12 pick range, I believe he can at least get back in the discussion.
Okay. There you go. We appreciate you, Kory. Keep up the great work as always. You guys can follow Kory. I did him dirty. Didn't throw up the lower third about 5 minutes ago. So I'll take that one.
That's all good.
at Kory Woods, give him a follow. He's doing great work, Kory. We appreciate you joining us. Last 2 Victory Mondays, my friend. You're the man.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate you, Kory.
Kory Woods, man. Go support him. He does great work. Always spitting facts too. People love Kory. He's the people's champ. I saw someone comment down. We're going to talk about the linebacker that was signed. We didn't talk about him earlier, so people know. We asked Kory about him. I'll get your guys' thoughts. I spoke today about it. David Long was signed to the practice squad. David Long Jr., linebacker, Miami this year, was cut about 5 days ago for Tyrell Dotson, if I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, cut from the Seahawks. Dolphins picked him up. They claimed him. They cut David Long Jr. He's with the Dolphins last 2 years, was with the Titans for a bunch of years before that. He's not super old, probably about 4 years. He's probably played about 6 years in the league. But he was pretty good with the Titans. But now the Lions get him as kind of a depth piece here, signed to the practice squad. I'll ask you guys' reaction to that, maybe your expectations for him. How do you see the Lions kind of handling them? Body, or you think it could be someone that could contribute at any sort of capacity here?
Klotz, this is your guy.
I love this David Long signing. Now, I'm not going to start this off by saying, David Long's going to take Jack Campbell's spot. But David Long, if you go back and you watch this year, bad. You watch pretty much every year outside of that, David Long has been very good. 2 years ago, had over 100 tackles. And people are like, well, what's the difference between David Long this year and last year? Why was David Long so good in Tennessee, and then you see him this year in Miami, he's fallen off? Who did he have in front of him in Tennessee? Jeffrey Simmons. Who did he have in front of him last year in Miami that's not there this year? Christian Wilkins. So you look, especially when the Detroit Lions defensively a couple years ago were bad and how bad the linebacker play was, it's because they had no defensive tackles. David Long, he's not a guy that's going to be on the edge getting after the quarterback, but against the run, David Long is lights out. He's extremely physical. He's been missing tackles, but it's because he is very physical, and he's trying to make a huge play all the time. When you look at Kelvin Shepherd, if you think that David Long, and this isn't towards you guys, this is in general, if you think David Long is going to stay on the practice squad, there's no chance. If Kelvin Shepherd could took a 7th-round pick in Malcolm Rodriguez, give him 100 tackles, take Ben Neiman, do what he's doing with him, Trevor Nowatzki, doing what he's doing with him. If Kelvin Shepherd gets David Long, a guy who's put up over 100 tackles, has had 4 interceptions in his career, and is decent in coverage, he's going to be at some point, while Alex Anzalone is out, the 2nd or 3rd linebacker in the rotation. It's not going to be this week, probably not going to be next week, but there are going to be games, especially when we're going up against Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills, who he played in twice against each year. This is going to be a very good piece for this defense. He's a captain going into the year for Miami, so this shows you he's a locker room guy as well. When I look at this David Long signing, it reminds me a lot of what the Tim Patrick signing was offensively for the Lions, but now just this time on defense. Again, he's not going to be a guy that's going to be you're putting on the edge, going to be looking like Alex Highsmith or somebody out there, but he is definitely a better pure player than Trevor Nowatzki and Ben Neiman. That's not a knock, but you just go watch the player. He's a solid football player. He's not going to be a B player. If Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell are B pluses, David Long is probably like a C. But when you look at that, that's what this Detroit Lions needs, especially with Ife Melifonwu potentially being out for longer. So David Long, I love the signing. He reads run games very well, and he's going to be adding to the strength of this defense, which is stopping the run. So I'm excited about this signing. He's a guy that flies around the field, has sideline-to-sideline ability, and he talks shit. And when you look at the Detroit Lions with the confidence that they play, you can always use a guy that's going to be a little Energizer bunny out there, and that's exactly what David Long is. I think Kelvin Shepard, David Long Jr., going to be a great fit, especially with Terrell Williams, who's used to him from him playing in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, this is the conversation we had. I think, and Klotz, I agree with everything you said. Like David Long, he's been good in his career. And I completely agree. Like, I think there's an opportunity for a guy to come in. This is where I love you, Klotzy. I'm not going to say you overhype some guys, but maybe the overhype, it's like, hey, I just don't want people to like think the guy's coming in and he's going to be like Jack Campbell, David Long all year long until Anzo gets back. Because like, that's just not realistic. Like, he might at some point, but like next week and the week after, like, he'd probably be on the practice squad this week. And if he's ready to go, he's not going to take snaps away from Trevor Nowatzki, Ben Neiman, or Malcolm Rodriguez. Like, those guys are going to still be like, they have been working with this team for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I get you want to add people in there, but when you have a rhythm with guys and you have guys that are in there, like, you're a top 5 defense. Like, yeah, with Anzo out, you can add something in, but I think it's like just a depth piece where it's, hey, if another guy goes down, we saw Rodrigo get hurt. We already saw Derek Barnes get hurt. We've seen that. Like, we've seen injuries in the linebacking room to where you do need a guy in that room, another piece to it. So Klotz, I love you. That's why today we were texting about it. I was like, all right, it's a Klotzy guy for sure. But I think it's in Michael Daly put in a Boone. We need a body in the room. I think that's what it is with the linebacking room. I think it's a body in depth in case, say, a Trevor Nowatzki or Rodrigo, rolls in it, like the ankle injury that he's had in the past. Like, if something like that happens, okay, you have a guy who is competent to be able to play football in the NFL. He's done it before. Kelvin's able to help him out and be able to kind of get him back to that. But like, there's a reason he got cut, and I'm not saying that he's going to come out. I know he was a bad defense. He's just it's one of those things. Like, you never know when a guy's career drops off. I'm not saying that's it, but it's still a player to where, yeah, that is a question. Like, he was a captain on this team at the beginning of the year. He was good last year. He was good in Tennessee. And then just all of a sudden, he's literally ranked one of the worst linebackers in the entire NFL in coverage. He has 14 missed tackles. His run defense, I know everyone's putting the run defense stuff on Twitter and all that. His run defense it hasn't been the best this year. He got benched this year, and I know it's a bad defense again. I'll put that out there. So there's still like some leeway there to do it. But he is struggling. So maybe it's a good thing for him to get a new, just completely new building, get with some new voices, get in here with Kelvin Shepard. We've seen Dan Campbell and AG and those guys be able to help guys out and be able to like, hey, like, our culture is already built. You come in here, this is what we're about. And if you follow this, I promise you'll be great. And I think that's what it is with him. And I hope, honestly, Klotz, and I'm not on a side here. I think with the way that this coaching staff is, I think there's a chance you see him get back to where he was last year just because of the coaching staff and what they're about and this defense is about. But I also think there's a side to where fans need to realize, like, he did get benched and he has been struggling this year. And you still have, like, one thing I hate with teams is when you start to go away from things that are working and you try. Like, I know Anzo's out, but like this linebacking crew, Anzo was out a couple weeks ago and they held it down. And they have been just growing and getting better and getting better and getting better. Now, if you add him in and you work him in with all this, I'm all in for that. I'm all in for it. And if he ends up turning back to what he was last year, that is a huge piece. And I think he can do that. You see what I'm saying, Klotzy? I don't want to overhype it. That's where I'm at with it. I just don't want to overhype it to where it's like, oh, he's going to come in and be the second linebacker in here. It's going to be Jack Campbell and him going forward. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. Like, at all. I think he's going to be a really good body for us.
Don't hate that take.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just writing stuff down. I was looking up David Long because you were talking about his missed tackle rate or his missed tackles. How many does he have on the year so far?
Yes, I think it was 14 this year so far. I saw.
Yeah, I saw that. And I think this year he's allowing a 125 pass rating when targeted. The thing is, the question is, and you guys were kind of nailed it, can he get back to 2021, 2022 form? I mean, that was 2 years ago. He had 2 picks in 2021, 2 picks in 2022. He had 13 missed tackles in 2021 on the entire year. So he has 14 through, 10 games we're at now. So can he get back to that form? You know, the 125 passer rating allowed this year. Can he get back to 2021 when he allowed an 84.7 passer rating? Like, that was his best year. So do I trust this coaching staff to, get him back to that form? I trust them to make him better. I think players in the NFL certainly benefit from coaching. I think the NFL is one of those sports that are up there for coaching matters the most, but it's about what he's going to be asked to do, which is little to anything. I mean, special teams, can he come in on a couple snaps if there's injuries? Probably. His run defense has always been pretty solid. I know you mentioned the missed tackle thing, which, that obviously is not good, but with the culture the Lions currently have, these linebackers don't miss tackles. So maybe it'll be a good change of scenery for him.
For sure.
I like it. I at this point, like with Allen Robinson coming in and, he didn't really, at this point in his career, doesn't have a lot to give left. You see him kind of come in and make a couple plays here or there. He's good depth. I think that's going to be David Long Jr., just good depth. And maybe to Klotz's narrative, maybe they can pull a little of that 2021, 2022 out of him. And he becomes like just a solid depth piece. Maybe.
Yeah. And I think too, like one thing that you guys, and if you guys watch like really in depthly these games, like guys like Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez, like they're playing special teams. So now you look at, you're like, Anzalo's out for 6 to 8 weeks. You don't want, at least in my opinion, maybe he still will, but you got to get one of those two guys off special teams, whoever you feel comfortable with. All right, David Long comes in. Like obviously Nowatzki and Neiman are going to be on special teams, but whenever he's ready in the next couple of weeks, if you feel comfortable enough to get him in there on special teams for Jack Campbell or Malcolm Rodriguez, like that's where I think you start to look at it. And like, again, Rodrigo's been playing so good, and I don't see like a world to where it's like if he's playing the way he's been playing, like he's flying around the ball, guys. Like every time I see Rodrigo, he's making a play. So I don't think it's a situation to where he takes it. Now, again, it's one of those moves. You pick him up. There's no like negative about it. Like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And if it works out, you're like, Brad Holmes looks like a genius. Like what a pickup.
And speaking of the linebacker core, Anzalone going down, I do think the player, and I talked about this on Bleacher Report today, that'll benefit the most is obviously Jack Campbell. And I want your guys' thoughts on what this absence can do for him. I know it's kind of like the Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery thing, although if one goes out, the other one would have a bigger workload, but they're better together. That's like Anzalone and Jack Campbell. They're better together. I understand that. But what this will mean for Jack Campbell's growth as an individual, because what do the Lions expect for him long-term? To be that green dot for a long time, to basically be the Anzalone of this team moving forward after Anzo, gets older and he kind of moves on in his career. I think this is huge for Jack. The rest of the regular season, no Anzalone. They've already been getting him ready for in training camp and way before all summer. We were there a couple of the training camp practices and some of those days, and he's wearing the green dot. He's calling plays. He's kind of the leader. He's already grown significantly in his leadership qualities. He's always kind of been just a pure football player. He's got the ball instincts. He's got just a great read on what's going on. You've kind of seen that more happen over the last couple of weeks. His coverage is coming along a little bit. I think this is huge for Jack because it's like giving him the keys. Like, it's just like, hey, man, here's the keys. It's like working at a job and someone above you gets suspended for 6 weeks and they're like, hey, you're going to have it, you're going to take over for this job. And it's a job you've been kind of training for. Yeah, you're like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like, I'm ready to hold it down. I think that's going to be Jack here. I think it's significant. It's reps that he needs just in terms of the green dot. Obviously, he's playing, but they're going to rely on him a lot more. Like, he's going to be dependent on a lot more without Anzalone. I think this will be significant for him and his career moving forward. I do.
I agree. And I said it last week too. And I know it's brutal that Anzo got injured, but I had mentioned last week that I think Jack has already taken that step as the better linebacker over Anzo, like play wise, leadership wise. Anzo's always going to be that guy that the green dot, the voice in the locker room, a captain. He's a vet. Play wise though, I do believe, I truly believe that Jack Campbell is the better linebacker now, just overall. And it's not like a knock on Alex Anzalone. He is still an unbelievable linebacker in the NFL. He had what was 128 tackles last year or something around there. Like he is a very, very good linebacker. If you look at what Jack Campbell's doing, though, like there's a reason he was drafted where he was. And it's because he has all the talent in the world to be one of the best in the league at his position. And he's in year 2, and he is already a top 10. I said it a couple weeks ago. I can't remember what game it was after I came on. I said he's a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. Like he is. And there's no question behind it. Coverage wise, he stepped up. He's great in the run. Like everything he does, he doesn't miss tackles. He is one of the best in the league at what he does. He's on track, guys. Like he's on track for over 130 tackles this year. Alex Anzalone has never done that in his career. And he's on track to do it in his second year. Like, and now you're going to tell me that the next 6 to 8 weeks, he's now the first linebacker. He's going to have the green dot. And that's basically like you heard in the offseason. You guys remember when we were at training camp, AG spoke to the media and he said, Jack has improved huge, like big steps when it comes to leadership, when it comes to talking. They've worked him in the green dot a little bit and he's taking steps in that. Now you're telling me he gets 6 to 8 weeks after they already think he's good enough to take over. And now he's going to get 6 to 8 weeks with the green dot and being the leader of that defense. I'm not going to say it. I just think like when Anzo does, I think it's obvious and very evident that Jack Campbell is the best linebacker in that room. And maybe this is like the past, like Anzo's still there and Anzo's still the leader and the captain, but maybe this is like you're going to see a different Jack Campbell over the next 6 to 8 weeks than you've even saw the last 6 to 8 weeks. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. Like you're going to see a drastic jump. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Jack Campbell make a Pro Bowl team. Honestly, he's playing that well, and now he's the lead linebacker. He's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for my case, this will be the passing of the torch from Jack Campbell to Alex Anzalone to Jack Campbell. Over this next stretch of games while Alex is out, though, I don't think there will be much to see from Jack Campbell production-wise that's going to jump because a lot of the times, not all the times, linebacker ones will. When you have 2 good linebackers, I should say, linebackers ones a lot of the time will have less tackles because they're setting stuff up. Like in San Francisco, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw is hurt, but a lot of the times, most of the time, Dre Greenlaw finishes more tackles than Fred Warner because Fred Warner has more responsibility. That's what Jack Campbell is going to be in the situation. I think Jack Campbell, the information that he's going to be thrown over the next couple of weeks, 6 to 8 weeks with Anzo out, is going to help him so much down the road. He's going to be keeping and playing at a good level. I don't deny that. Jack Campbell could probably even be playing better than he has been. But what will be more critical is the information and the role that he's going to be in, the ability to be in a situation that he wasn't supposed to be in because you're not predicting Alex Anzalone being out. But now Jack Campbell gets to realize and play as that 18th overall pick. This is why we took you first overall. This is why we took you 18th overall, heard all the noise, but did not care. And when you look at how Kelvin Shepherd is playing, he's going to have him ready. So I think Jack Campbell, he's going to be playing how he has already before, but he's going to be getting better, and we don't even realize it. So I think long-term, this opportunity, this little 6 to 8 week stretch is going to be very beneficial for him down the road. So I can't wait to see it. I love Alex. I think he's a player that you would love to have, but it's not like, oh, my God, Alex Anzalone's out. The Detroit Lions are winning this game. He's a player that might sound terrible to say, but you can afford to lose for a couple of weeks compared to the Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You get what I'm saying, the more premier players of this team. Alex Anzalone, a huge part. When you have Jack Campbell there, you're still in a very good situation. So I'm very excited to see.
Hey, Captain Jack here, huh? You know what I want to see from Jack? It'll be the first in his career, but I'm waiting on it. I want to see a Jack Campbell pick.
That'd be unbelievable.
That would our watch party it'd be electric. I want to see that. Like that part of his game, I think, is close. Like he's going to be seeing stuff. The game, it will start to slow down even more. I just want to see Jack in the middle. Look at the shift god. Jack Campbell interception would feed families. I agree.
Anthony Richardson this week.
Don't tease me.
Hey, you know these are my Colts, but if there's one thing Anthony Richardson struggles with, it's that completion percentage and not throwing to the defense. So
shift god said maybe he picks off Caleb Williams.
That would be unbelievable.
I'd be okay.
I think he's going to get one. You got to think like he's now. He's the lead linebacker, man. Like he's going to be in positions now to be able to make some more plays, even more. Like I think you're looking at it and you're like, yep, he's going to get. I almost want to put a lock on it this year. I almost want to say the next 7 games. It's a lock. With Anzo out, it's a lot.
It should be. It should be.
Because I don't think any linebackers have. Anzo hasn't had one. Malcolm hasn't had one.
No,
Did Derek Barnes have any?
Roll it back. There's one linebacker. Go ahead.
Nowaski.
Is it Trevor? Oh, Trevor did get there.
Let's not disrespect Trevor.
The starting 3 linebackers going into the season: Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell. They have not had any interceptions so far this year.
It's due.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tyler. Like, and this is kind of where I was, at least in my mind, thinking of Jack when they drafted him, like a guy who can, like Tyler says, he'll be a guy who gets a pick or two a season, a couple of forced fumbles. Like, I think Jack in his prime should be that. Like, I think great linebackers, maybe, I'm not expecting him to be like, the best linebacker in the league. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. But I think Jack could give you should give you 1 or 2 picks, maybe a forced fumble or 2, lead your team in tackles. Like, that's what I think Jack's capable of. A couple pass deflections, like kind of a do-it-all guy. Like, they say dial a phone number in the stat sheet. That's what I think Jack can do. And a year-to-year basis. Like, I don't think he'll just be not that you guys are saying this, but I don't think at all he's just like a tackle, 100-plus tackle guy. I think he can do so much more. Get takeaways. Like, he already has the forced fumble on DK, right? Yeah, that was DK Metcalf. I think he got a couple interceptions a year in him. In his prime, obviously. We're talking.
The crazy thing is he just keeps getting better, though, too. Like, he just keeps learning. We talked about it, I think, back in February when we did the draft. We had talked about how hard it is for linebackers just to come into the league and just be good right away. Like, there are some who can do it and who do it, but it's not that often, and you don't see it that fast. And it does take, like, that's a position when you're wearing the green dot and you're kind of in that spot. Like, it takes time. Like, the game, the NFL is that fast compared to college. So, like, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it and kind of go through that. So you see it like slowly happening. He's already right now. He's in a year and a half into his NFL career, and he's already, you could say, a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. And he's only going to get better. And now he's just going to keep improving. And his mindset is just different, dude. He's just all he thinks about probably is just football. Like, that's all he cares about. Nothing else. Like, he just wakes up, ball. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think another guy
sleeps and drinks football.
I think another guy that kind of has that similar mindset is Za'Darius Smith. I mean, and Kory nailed it. I mean, we can talk about just his game, his first game as a Detroit Lion. I love this man's energy. It is so infectious. Like, watching him on the sideline interact with his teammates. He's just having a blast. He looks like he just genuinely has a fun time playing football, but he takes it serious. Obviously, I'm not insinuating he doesn't, but the guy just has fun and he plays well. He's a great player. I mean, you watch the impact, and again, Kory nailed it. It's not even the sack. Like, we all thought he would get a sack, but even if he didn't end with a sack, our biggest thing we all kind of agreed was, what does his impact look like? What would it look like with Za'Darius Smith? He's got a week off. Boy, you saw his impact. I mean, he helps push the pocket. He does a good job of kind of freeing up other guys. I know they didn't get a bunch of sacks as a team, but I am excited to see him with this defensive line just continue to build rapport for the rest of the year. I thought he had a fine debut. I did. And there's going to be some big games here, notably Bills, 49ers. You'll have the divisional game still. That I am excited to see Za'Darius Smith. I'm excited to see him face the Vikings and Packers because he's going to have that chip on his shoulder already.
No Darius either.
I want to see big game Za'Darius. Big game Za'Darius. That's what I want to see. And you're going to get it.
There'll be at least one game this year where it'll be a closer game. Could even be against like a game in Buffalo where Za'Darius Smith will force a fumble to seal the game. He just, like, when he was in Green Bay especially, I loved the player. I hated the fact that Za'Darius Smith was on the Packers because that was the guy where it's like every team needs a Za'Darius Smith. So when you look at what he brings, it's only a matter of time. And it'll happen a couple of times for the season where, hey, James Houston, go get a couple of snaps. And it lets Za'Darius Smith a couple of times just turn the clock back for a couple of snaps, and he'll make a big play. So I think that. And another thing that he was always really good at was swatting balls out the line of scrimmage. So I think that the more he gets.
We don't see that a lot here in Detroit, too.
Yeah, I mean, Hutch does it. Like, Hutch will do it.
He's the only one.
That's it, yeah. So Za'Darius, he can get his hands up because when he doesn't, he's like, that's the part of Za'Darius Smith where it's beneficial about being a veteran. When he realizes, okay, I got beat here. I'm not getting to the quarterback. He's not just going to keep bull rushing and trying to get there. He's going to be like, all right, hands up. Let's try to make a play even though we can't get to the quarterback here. So that's why there's so many things that Za'Darius Smith can do where, yeah, he's 32 years old, but he's just been so good and learned so much throughout his time in the league.
I was thinking that the other day. I was watching another game in the NFL. I can't remember what it was. There are so many other defensive lines in the NFL that are just constantly swatting balls down. Constantly.
Yeah.
And like I feel like and we've watched every game together for the last few years. I just don't remember like the Lions just being like elite at that ever. And like Za'Darius Smith, I watched some of his Cleveland stuff. Always like hands up, like making plays at the line of scrimmage, even if he's not getting to the quarterback, which is like a huge. I'm interested though. Like one thing I'm interested with Za'Darius, and obviously without Hutch, like we haven't been able to see it very much this year. Like how many mobile quarterbacks outside of Kyler Murray have we gone up against? I don't think really
You want to
any.
count Jordan Love?
No, because he's not
That's
like
really
mobile. I think more so like this week coming up with Anthony Richardson, and then the only other one the rest of the way is Josh Allen.
You're talking about guys that can
Mobile, like
like
run for 100
sprint
yards
out.
on you if they want to,
Yeah.
like that type of thing. Like Kyler could do that. Anthony Richardson,
Hey,
Josh
Baker.
Allen.
Hey.
I mean,
Yeah,
Baker
yeah,
did,
Baker
but
Barnes a little
I'm
bit,
just
right?
interested though, like when it comes down to it, like on that aspect, because when you do get in the playoffs, that was something we talked about without Hutch. Is these mobile quarterbacks? That's always, even with Hutch, it's been a problem of containing them. I'm interested this week and then the Bills game. Like, how is Za'Darius Smith? Does he impact the a quarterback that's mobile like that from running the ball? Because that's something we haven't seen this year. We only had Kyler Murray, and that was it. So like we haven't seen this new defense, this top 5 defense, go up against an actual mobile quarterback. And when you get in the playoffs, there are a lot of mobile quarterbacks. So that is a big deal.
I mean, Andrew Jones, he was in Lamar's division.
That's true. That's very true.
Great point.
You know who helped it out, Boone? David Long. David Long. Don't let him get out there. Don't let him get out there.
No, not David Long.
Come on now. Come
yeah,
on now.
you know what? Za'Darius Smith, maybe he vouched for David Long. He's like, I know of him.
T. Will did. Terrell Williams did.
That is true.
The
He
other
was
thing with him too, and like we didn't talk, and I don't want to get into a whole discussion about it again, but I think a huge reason why he fell off was when he went into Miami, it was a completely different scheme. Like Vic Fangio was there. He runs a completely different defense than what's getting played there this year. So when he looks at Detroit, he's probably like, that's a scheme fit. He's going to be better than what he was in 2024. Promise you that. And then that makes him at least a rotational piece for this team.
I'm interested to see how fast they work him in. I don't think he'll play this week. Maybe he will.
Not like this week.
But
I think 2-3 weeks. Hopefully by like game after Thanksgiving. What is that? Is that the Bills?
No, it's the Bears.
They
They play on
Bears,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm saying week after Thanksgiving. That's when
I think it is Bills. I think it is Bills. I can double
They
check.
play Green Bay, then they play
Bills.
Yeah, Bills.
And then the Bears again.
Yep.
And then the 49ers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, because they
They got Indy, then they got Chicago.
That's at home.
So they got Indy on the road at home against Chicago, and then they start this divisional, they start going through some divisional games here. Which I'm excited. You'll get to see this will be some good games here. You got through kind of the lazy stretch a little bit. Like, yeah, you had Green Bay, but Tennessee and Jacksonville within like a 4-game stretch. It's like, okay, double-digit point spreads. Like,
got the stats up.
Yeah, got the stats up. Yeah. I mean, I
think they're going to be favored in every game going forward. Every single game.
The only one that they wouldn't have been was San Francisco, but there's no unless San Francisco just turns back the clock. Like
they will be favored on the road then. I mean,
while we're on defense, can we just look at the weekly defensive tweet? The improvement. Like I know they played the Jags. Klotz, have you seen the numbers this week for the defense? Dude, the Lions defense is just like it's incredible. I don't even put I put the rushing yards, but like I don't even care about the total. People were like, "We're about total." Really don't care at the total yards at the end of the day. I truly don't. But like every single category, Klotzy, is like I like went in and edited it, and I had to move like from like third to first, fifth to fourth. Like it's just like, dude, like I know it's the Jags, but it's just incredible to see that.
I ain't doing that against any NFL team.
It's crazy. It's like every defensive category. Joe Mixon's going off tonight too, by the way.
Yeah, he just the too little is just insane. Hitting that strutting to the end zone is ridiculous.
I think I'm the only one probably in the world too, by the way, that took the Dallas Cowboys plus 7.5.
Well, you believe in that Lions hangover, huh?
The Lions hangover.
Believer.
The Texans, they've struggled all year long. It's close games. I don't care how bad a team is.
You get the Nico TD in?
I do have a Nico TDN as well.
I got
and
it.
I use my live bet boost, the live boost. I used it
So did I.
on. I wanted to use it on Joe Mixon rushing over like 90 something, and as I was putting it in, he rushed for like he'd had like a 40-yard rush. It moved to 129, so I took it at 129.5. He's at like 80 or something. Right now.
He's gonna hit it. It's they're not
It's a
even
quarter
half
in.
the second quarter.
Yeah,
I was just mad. I could have probably already cashed that, but by the time I went in to get the live bet, it was locked because they got the ball
Too
first.
late.
I mean, CJ Stroud, their offense is having their way with the Cowboys, just like the Lions did with Jared Goff. And I mean, Jared Goff, by the way, balled this week.
Did you want me to pull this tweet up, Jeff?
Yeah.
To
Pull
be
it up
honest,
and
I thought the whole
get-
time you were sitting over there, I thought you were pulling it up, and I was just trying to delay. And I
don't even know what to pull up. I don't even,
that's on me.
it's all good.
It's in Dallas too, isn't it?
Yep. All right, Klotzy.
Here.
Just look at these numbers.
Oh,
I mean, it's incredible. First in passer rating allowed. First and third down and not allowed, guys. When I say first, I don't mean like the best.
Yeah.
First and third down conversion. First in passing touchdowns. Second interceptions. Second in total turnovers. Fifth in rushing yards and fifth in points per game. That's like incredible. That you can't get better than that. I don't know if there's other teams in the NFL that are top 5 in all these categories.
I'm sure like the Titans are just because they're getting just the way the games are getting played, and I don't know how they're hanging up there. But even like the Chiefs, because this is like it's not just like the secondary is doing good, where it's just interception, yards allowed. Like it's complete football. The only thing that do you know like off the top of your head, do you know where they ranked in sacks?
I think it's actually like 7th or 8th. I could pull it up.
Like if it's even top half of the league, like that is a good thing because remember we talked about that
it for sure is.
Eagles defense. Like they didn't have stars on the defensive line. They had Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, but as far as that season, they really weren't going off statistically. So if they even have top half of the league in that, like they're in a beautiful spot for people like me who are worrying about, hey, when they get in that game against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, are they going to be able to put enough pressure on him for him to be neutralized or at least create some turnovers? If the top half of the league with those statistics, that's
where are they in sacks?
They are currently, I think, tied for 16th, but they're at 25. Top 10 is 28, so they're 3 sacks behind being in the top 10. That's how close it is right now.
Za'Darius.
Yeah, there's a bunch of teams that have like 28, 27, and then they're 16th at 25. So the way it works, it's just like they're literally, if they had one more sack yesterday, they're probably 12th. Like it's that close of a gap. So it's not like they're like, it would be more worrying if they were sitting and they had like 20 sacks and they're at the bottom half of the NFL, but they're at 25.
Yeah. And I'm not too worried. I mean, this is a guy in Za'Darius who basically when he was traded or acquired, he was top of your team in pressures. So, I mean, he's going to help out with that category, at least helping other guys get sacks as well. But I mean, I wanted to mention the Jared Goff MVP case thing because I don't know how you guys feel about it. I know the odds. I'm not sure. I'll let Booner kind of get into that. Jared balled. I mean, he did. That was an MVP performance. I get it was against the Jags, and there will be bigger opportunities, of course, facing the Bills, facing the 49ers, the Green Bay Packers, the Vikings. Like the NFC North, every game is basically an MVP case because they're all good teams. Yeah. But even the biggest one being the Bills with Josh Allen, that's a significant game for a ton of reasons. I will I will say this about Goff. I think he's going to be in the race all year because the race just is pretty wide open and he's playing really well. I just don't think he'll win it. I think that's out of the question. I'm leaning with Kory on this one. I know that Kory kind of said something similar. I think he's going to hang in the race. I just think that the chances of him winning it are slim to none at this point, given just the 5 interception game. I know it wasn't all his fault. I understand that. But like MVP, it's so hard to win. And this is why Aaron Rodgers has so many, because Aaron never threw interceptions and he's always had great stats throughout the year and they won games. Like that's kind of what you need to do, unfortunately. And having a game like that just hurts your chances of winning the award. I'm not saying he can't be one of the candidates, but that's where I'm at with it, guys.
I'll say this, Jeff. If you and then this is where I started doing some research and looking like, are there MVP winners who have thrown 3, 4, 5 interceptions in games multiple times and still won it? I think, Jeff, like I am with you to your point. Like, yeah, Rodgers has won it because he's thrown for 4 interceptions, 5. Like, he's taking care of the ball. On top of that, though, he has one of the best teams
40
in the NFL.
TDs. Yeah. He's
Yes,
balling,
like
yeah.
100%. But you have to look at the other side. Like, there are also quarterbacks in the NFL who have thrown for 15 interceptions over the last 15 years and won it.
Brett
And they've
Favre.
thrown. And Brett Favre. I mean, Peyton Manning. He won it in 09 with 16. He won it in 08 with 12. Mahomes won it. His first one, he had 12 interceptions. His second one, he had 12 interceptions. All of those guys at one point in their that MVP season, they threw for 3 interceptions at least in one game. Like, they had one of those games. And I know 5's a lot, but again, in context, like, it's easy just to look to stat watch and game log watch and go, 5 interceptions. Like, go look at the game. Like, you have to look at the game, a 5 interception game. How did it play out? Did those guys who won MVP throw for 3 interceptions and their team lost by 20? I bet you some of them did. But the Lions, like Jared Goff, he threw for 5. Half of them weren't even his fault. And he ended up turning around, having 3 drives that went and got points to complete a 20-point comeback and win a football game. Like, there's context to all of this. I think the easy way out is to be like, 5 interceptions, he's done. Nope, not done. No, like, let's look at context a little bit. There's a reason right now in the sports books, after throwing 5 interceptions, he's still third in the third in the odds isn't a joke. That's not like he doesn't. No, he is still in the race. So for people to say he is completely out of the race, guys, third in odds in the sports book is not. No, you are right dead center in the middle of the race. You are dead center. He went from like plus 2,000 to plus 600 in 1 week. Think about if he goes out there and has another big week. Think about this, Jeff. Think about he goes whatever it is, week 10 or week 14, 15, whatever week it is. He matches up head-to-head versus Josh Allen, the current MVP leader. And he goes out there and throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and beats Josh Allen. And then he goes in San Francisco and wins that game. They win the division. They're a number 1 seed in the NFC North. They're not just the number 1 team in the NFC. They're the number 1 team in football. They have 14, 15 wins. When you're looking at Lamar with maybe 10, 11 wins, you're looking at Josh Allen with maybe 11, 12 wins. And you're going, okay, who's the most valuable player this year in the NFL? And who went head-to-head? All right, he went head-to-head versus the Bills, and Josh Allen dominated him in that game at Ford Field. He went head-to-head with the San Francisco 49ers on the road, dominated and did that. He still has a case to be made. There is a reason the sportsbook have him third at plus 600 right now, because they know they don't want to put it at plus 2,000. You want to know why? They don't want to give away money. They don't want to lose. They know that Jared Goff is going to be back in this race and have a chance to win this thing when it comes down to it, because he is going to be on the best team in football, a 14, 15 win football team, potentially if they win out 16 win team. And that's just when you look at it, if you're the best team in the NFL and your team wins 15 games, you're going to have a very, 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 and I'm not saying just like you have a slim chance, like, no, you are going to be either 1 or 2 in the MVP race, and whoever's 2, they better have a historic NFL season, and they better have no slip ups, because you have the quarterback on a 15, 16 win football team that has been very, very good. Besides 1, maybe 2 games, if that's the knock that you want to have, I think it's very, very. I don't think it's right to say he's out of this race. I don't think it's right at all. I think that's the complete wrong side to go on with this. I think he's right dead in the middle of this race right now.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Boone. I think he will. When you look at Lamar Jackson right now, I think his MVP season, I think it peaked. When you look at who he's got to play going up the defenses wise, he's got the Chargers next week, the Eagles. You want to say about their defense, but he's going to have to put up points. I think they could handle the Eagles, but I don't think Lamar Jackson. You got the Steelers again. You got the Texans and the Browns, who they lost to somehow in the beginning of the season. Lamar's going to drop at least 2 more games, so that's going to put the Ravens at 6 losses. If the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff look the way that he has been over the last couple of stretches outside the Houston Texans game, and they beat the Buffalo Bills, it would be very hard to look at that game and say, okay, Jared Goff is not the MVP. Now, if they lose, it's going to be Josh Allen's award. I think Josh Allen will most likely win it, but Jared Goff definitely still has a chance. The thing that's going to haunt Jared Goff as far as the MVP race is when you're going to look at the top 3. It's going to say the same, in my opinion, the top 3 with Josh Allen, Lamar, Jared Goff. They're going to look at Josh Allen. They're going to look at Jared Goff. They're going to say, who has the better arm? Probably Josh Allen. Who can run? Josh Allen. And that'll be the narrative that kills it. But Jared Goff, he's been playing like an MVP, and if they beat Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, I think Jared Goff should be the MVP. but he's going to finish second just because in the NFL in 2024, if you have a pocket passer and a mobile quarterback who are
Sure.
putting up the same numbers and one of them can run and has rushing touchdowns, you're giving it to that guy. The thing is with Goff and Lamar's arm are not even close to the same level. Josh Allen and Goff's are. And I think it'll show statistically by the end of the season as well.
That Bills-Lions game is going to be that's going to be an MVP game. Like that is going. I wouldn't be shocked. I think it's a 420 game. Wouldn't be shocked if it gets flexed to like a Sunday night or Monday night football, and they know like, hey, whoever's running the game, ESPN, Fox, whoever, like we're going to promote this as an MVP. And Jeff, what do I say all the time with the awards? And I think everyone has agreed with me on this over the last year. It is a narrative award. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. It's like a narrative thing. How does the media take it? If they both go into this game and the Lions still only have one loss or even two losses, and Jared Goff hasn't had one of those blow-up games again, you're going into that game and the whole league, the NFL, national media, they're promoting this game as an MVP duel. Yeah, duel is the right word, duel. And you're sitting there and you're like, all right, that's what this game is. Two of the best teams, potential Super Bowl matchup, MVP duel going on. And the best, whoever comes out of it probably is the favorite to win MVP. Again, Lamar is having his best year ever. So like the thing is, and Klotz, your point, if Lamar keeps doing what he's doing and he has 4 interceptions on the year and he's thrown for as many yards as he is and running for what he's doing and has the touchdowns, like it's going to be hard not to give it to him based off of that. But if he drops 2 or 3 more games, if like the Ravens, like guys, what I saw of the Ravens versus Steelers, I don't think they're going to win that. Like they're going to drop multiple more games, and like Lamar's going to have a couple more games where he only throws for 200 yards, and like if he does that. Even if it looks good on the stat sheet that he has 6 interceptions on the year or whatever he'll end up with. But like when you're not winning football games, how valuable are you really to like you're valuable, yeah, but like you have to like it's like last night with Josh Allen. Like he had his MVP type of statement going and beating the Chiefs and running for that 20-yard touchdown. Like those are the MVP players do that type of stuff. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean the media, you're gonna need to outduel Josh Allen in that Bills game to flip the media. I mean, you've already had Dan Orlovsky and Robert Griffin III come out and say his MVP case is over. So in terms of the narrative, you got to push that.
Did they say that before Sunday or was it after? Like,
Yeah,
did they say that
said it last week?
So last week, that's the thing was you come out and do what you did yesterday. That's where you start to change. The narrative switches a little bit, and you're like, you look at the sports book because when they're saying he's over, he's plus 4,000 in MVP odds. It's easy to be like, yeah, it's over. Because you're plus 4,000. Like you're like, obviously no one thinks you have a chance. But when you do what you did yesterday and you move to the 3rd best odds, it's far.
I mean,
Jeff, me and you gamble a lot together. You know that's far from over.
It is
opposite.
true because on the flip side, like week 3, people were talking about Dak Prescott being an MVP, Dallas Cowboys being Super Bowl contenders, and you see now. So I think there will be kind of like there was the MVP of Goff, and then there was the 5 picks Goff. It's gonna close.
Yeah,
again, it's like a one game. It's the one game thing where it's like it is significantly in the moment impacts, but then when you start to get towards away from that and he starts having better games, and to real quick, sick argument that you got to rewind about 5 minutes because I literally brought up and I literally said in 2008 Peyton Manning threw for 12, 2009 Peyton Manning threw for 16.
We already covered that.
In 2018 Mahomes 12 interceptions. 2022.
This one's getting me. Nobody's holding a 5 interception. You fucking won against when you sweep your way to a Super Bowl. I don't know. I always. See
it's sick arguments that we literally said all. I literally brought up all those years. He might be behind right now. He might be like 5 minutes behind.
Hey, we'll be good. He'll be talking to the chat too. Who knows? Hey,
yeah,
man,
I saw that
down there though.
Yeah. Yeah, we already covered that. And pretty sure Booner, did your research on that, correct?
I did. Yes, I have notes over here. I'm not going to show you my notes, but I have notes.
Yeah, that's fine. No, you don't.
To that 5 interception game. Okay, so you're gonna hold that to like the sky high of like this is why you won't be MVP.
Yeah.
But then you have Lamar who's had multiple games where like his arm and his lack of accuracy and consistently because Lamar will make some great throws. I don't want to seem like he can't, but over 4 quarters, his arm against elite teams and good teams struggles to be consistent enough to win them games. So it's like you have 2 or 3 games like that. That's 2 or 3 games versus 1. And it's just that one glaring ugly thing. So that's where it gets frustrating. I won't be mad if everybody's going on the rate they are right now. I won't be mad if Josh Allen wins MVP over Jared Goff. But if Lamar does, This year, I will have an issue with it because they did add pieces. They do have Derrick Henry, and he is in a position where he is going to have to put up more yards because that defense fucking sucks.
Again, it's one of those things where it's like you can look at the stats, and the stats would do. Like if we look at like Luka Doncic last year in the NBA should have won MVP if you look at just the stats, right? Like he averaged the most points per game. He almost averaged a triple-double. You could easily be like, stat watch, he should have. But then you start looking at most valuable, like, are you winning games? Like all of that, and right now, like to me, Ravens are on a downtrend. Now, if they were sitting at 8-2, what are they right now? 7-4. If they were sitting at 9-2, I would be like, it's Lamar Jackson, no question, zero question. But Klotz, to your point, like they're going to probably drop a couple games, so that's why you could say Lamar is probably 1 or 2 right now, but Jared Goff is sitting there at 3, looking at those guys like, hey, you guys better not have hey, Lamar, you better not keep dropping games because if you do, I'm going to keep winning and I'm going to take that award.
Jared
So,
Goff,
best
Lamar's face.
Same thing to Josh Allen. He's going to look at Josh Allen and be like, hey, I'm week, what is it, 14, 15? I'm coming for the MVP.
We've seen guys fall out of the MVP race. I mean, we literally saw Brock Purdy do it last year. I mean, they thought Brock Purdy was going to win an award, and then he faced the Ravens and threw 4 picks and ended that. So, speaking of
what I want you though, Jeff, I want you to promise me until he has another big blow up game.
Yeah,
let's not say he's out of the race anymore. Can we?
No, I never said he's not out of the race. I don't think he'll win it personally.
He said he'll be in the race.
He's in the race. We agree.
That's fair. That's fair. And by the way, too, Dan Campbell, 2nd in the NFL in odds to win Coach of the Year.
He should win it, man. I don't know why this guy doesn't have.
Bro, Mike Tomlin's making a hell of a case. I'm sorry.
I don't even think
making a QB change halfway through the year, getting better.
Jonathan Gannon.
Let me see who's
if they win the NFC West, he should. Dude, name a player outside of Budda Baker on that defense.
I'm not even going to argue it. I just don't like it.
And he's a defensive head coach.
Great. No, you're.
If Dan Campbell, if the Lions
shit on that man religiously, like
it's just odd.
I will tell you, if the Lions win 15 games, Dan Campbell will win the award.
Yeah, and you can't.
He goes 16-1. You ship the award to his house.
Yeah, even if you go 15-2,
no Kevin Stefanski, and we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Even if Kevin O'Connell wins it, I won't be mad. Keep Stefanski and those frauds out of the race.
All right, who do you think who do you guys think the favorite is? Kind of.
I would think it's Mike Tomlin. I just like with 8-2.
I'll go Gannon. Why not?
Mike Tomlin plus 225. Dan Campbell 2nd plus 350. Kevin O'Connell 3rd at plus 400.
No, man. You know what?
Guess who's 4th? Gannon's not even 4th. Jim Harbaugh, which I think that's fair. Jim's done a good job. Jim's done a really good job.
Jonathan Gannon, to me, are doing a deserved Coach of the Year higher in the rankings than Kevin O'Connell.
I agree. I think Jim's in. I think he should be 4th in this. Gannon is 5th at plus 500, and I think
I don't even know who the Cardinals coordinators are. Like, who is he doing this with?
This is another one that deserves. I think this is the best Coach of the Year race that we've seen. Dan Quinn plus 650. He deserves to be in the conversation.
I like that one. Where's Sean Payton at?
So it goes Dan Quinn, Andy Reid is next, and then Sean Payton at plus 1,400.
Yeah, he's making it work with bum-ass Bo Nix. Yeah, his odds should be higher.
Bo Nix is good, dude.
Bo Nix is solid.
He'll be a player that he could be putting up 500 yards. I'm just never gonna like Bo Nix.
I liked him when he was at Oregon, dude.
He's not sexy enough for you.
It's not even that. It's just I know the Bo Nix we're seeing rookie year 5. It's not going to be that much different.
By the way, 30-second timeout. 30-second timeout. Real quick. 30. I just see Easy just popped in the chat. I just want to say the flannel video that we got sent today.
That was so cool.
That is an all-time video. Like, not just of our in the world.
I love it. I love flannel. If anyone actually uttered into a microphone that the Bengals' problems are with Joe Burrow, remove the microphone from them until further notice.
I think it was off the record. I don't think it was on a microphone.
I think that there has to be some sort of accountability with saying something that fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's just me. I think there's no way you can say the Bengals, when you start with problem A or their first problem, you start with Joe Burrow. That has got to be one of the more ignorant things.
Jamar Chase is the problem before Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase is not even a problem. like
If I was
he
flannel,
was
I would have
the
slammed my head
throws,
against the table too. If that was
the
what
mobility, like
seriously.
I think that was off record. I don't think that was on a show or anything. I
Thank
think they were
God.
having a conversation off
Don't ever
record.
say that on air.
And he was told that
That's
Joe
stupid.
Burrow was the reason the Bengals are bad and are losing. Like that is
Yeah.
that's
Don't
no Matt
do it.
Stafford. I'll tell you that much. He's doing more than Matt Stafford ever could there.
Joe Burrow. If they were winning games, he would be number one in MVP. He is playing out of his mind right now.
You're not getting away with that. We'll get to that later.
I didn't hear what he said.
If they had 2 more wins, if Evan McPherson knew how to make a fucking field goal to save his life, he single-handedly lost me my fantasy matchup. I needed 3 points, and now I'm playing against Houston Texans defense, who automatically outscored. Anyways, besides the point, because he missed one against Baltimore, and they missed the 2 last night. The the Cincinnati Bengals would be in the wild card, and then you'd look at Joe Burrow, and then you look at that defense, you'd be like, holy fuck. And no T. Higgins for 3 weeks out of the season. Like, he's the best quarterback in the league right now.
Guys, like Easy said, I was told he's a stat pattern. Guys, if you just watch these games, it's like super simple. You just turn the TV on and watch a full game like last night. They wouldn't even have been in the game if it's not for Joe Burrow. Like, it wouldn't have even been a close game. They came back in the second half. It was because of Joe Burrow. It was a game because of Joe Burrow. Like, if you watch Joe Burrow, man, it's like he's the last reason.
Joe might throw for like 6,000 yards. I mean,
he's been so good. His pass, he's so good.
Like, and if Goff did that, we would all be jumping up and down, freaking out. And rightfully so. If he was balling like Burrow right now.
The Bengals have the leading passer, leading receiver, leader in receptions, leader in reception touchdown, leader in sacks, leader in throwing touchdowns,
and they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're
crazy.
But I will say
that's on the coaching, to be honest.
I will say to get serious here. Even though stats are great, I will say that the balance in the Lions' offense is a great thing. The Bengals, they kind of need they do need Joe to do that, and you could see like though he's throwing 50 times a game. Like that's not a recipe for success. Even though Joe's so good. But you see with the Lions, like Jared's not asked to do that because they have such a good offense. They can run the ball. They can, like, they help him out. Like Chase Brown, I'm sorry, he's fine. They miss Joe Mixon. No, they miss Joe Mixon.
Chase Brown's been
good. You can't prove me wrong, man.
Chase Brown's not an issue. They should have. If they could have Chase Brown and Joe Mixon,
that's fine. But as a sole back, so
he had like 100+ yards. He's a good running back.
All right.
I don't know if you guys saw
says the man that would never re-sign it back to save his life. They're missing Joe Mixon.
They should have had a better plan to replace him than, just
see. This is where
Chase.
We're gonna get an argument. Chase Brown's a Klotz guy. Let's not do that.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right, Boone. Hey, you got your Kool-Aid jugs of the week.
Kool-Aid jugs.
Hit him.
I've only got 3 this week. Usually I do 4. I'm doing 3 this week.
There's no 4th.
I don't know. Is there?
See, we gotta wait for it. Okay, I'm gonna put one up. You tell me if this is okay to go first. Is it cool to go first? Because now you don't you like it in a specific order. You didn't tell me which order. Is that fine? Okay, you got it. You gotta say something here. We gotta move.
I'm thinking. Hey, no. Give me the skill player. Give me the skill player. Give me the skill player. There we go. That's skill player. Hey, absolute legend of a player. All right. Here we go, fellas. Booner, week 11. Kool-Aid Jugs of the week.
Let's get it. Who do you got, Boone?
First one. By the way, this segment is brought to you by Real American Beer. I'll say this. We drank all the Real American beer at the watch party. I was not able. I worked. I was not able to go get one. I took all of my beer to the watch party and pregame show and drank them all.
Thank God.
They're all gone. They're all gone. Kool-Aid. Shout out Real American Beer. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, fellas. He gets the first Kool-Aid jug of the week. Guys, this man, and I'll tell you this. I had a conversation on Friday, or maybe it was pregame show. I can't remember. And I asked the fellas, I said, I want to do a segment of Amon-Ra St. Brown being an all-pro wide receiver this year. And people in the chat, there was a lot of people out there that said, it's not going to happen. He's 20-something yards per game. He's 9th in catches, this, that. Booner, you're crazy. What are you talking about? What are you smoking? Are you smoke? What are you doing here? Guess what? we proved you all wrong. That man went in there, got 11 receptions off only 11 targets. The man was 11 for 11. Ball got thrown to him 11 times. What did he do, fellas? He caught it 11 times. 100%. Doesn't drop passes. On top of that, 161 total yards on the day. And then on top of that, 2 touchdowns, 2 tutties, 2 big-time tutties on Sunday as well. Guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I put it out on Twitter on Crunch Time today. He is now second in the NFL, I believe. And you know what? Let me just go double. I want to make sure I give the right stats out here. Can I do that for it? Can I stat correct myself here? Is that okay with you fellas?
That's fine with me, Boone.
Are we good with that?
Yep, we're giving you the. Yep.
All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. He is 11th currently, 685 yards, 11th in the NFL. Remember I told you guys he was like 24th going into the week, correct? He is now 11th in the NFL in yards after that game. He is second in the NFL in touchdowns with 9 touchdowns and 4th. He is now top 5. He went from top 10. He went from 9th in the NFL all the way to 4th in the NFL with 65 receptions. I want to tell you guys this too. You guys see, and a lot of people tagged me and a lot of people put me in their comments here when I said he's 11th in the NFL in receiving yards. And they're like, oh, Booner, he'll never be an all-pro outside the top 10. Guess what, guys? Let me put you guys onto some game here. This is what it means to actually do it means to do research and to really dig deep into some things. Are you guys ready for this one? It's a crazy concept. Just click on something, go do some research. There are 10 players in front of Amon-Ra St. Brown right now that in yards, right? He's 11th. There's 10. 7 of those players have played one more week of football because of the bye week than Amon-Ra St. Brown. If Amon-Ra, if you put his average in there and he continues to get this average, he would be top 5 in yards. So all these people who are like, oh, Booner, he's outside the top 10. Maybe do some research, dig a little deeper. Amon-Ra St. Brown has 10 or 7 of the 10 players in front of him have an extra game than him because he has had a bye week. This man will be a first-team All-Pro wide receiver again this year. I will lock that in. All right. He gets, first Kool-Aid Jug of the week.
Love it. Very
Jeff,
deserved.
the first one that you had up, bring that one up. Bring it up. Bring it up. Come on. Number two. And I'll drink to the next one, too. I'll keep drinking to the next one. Number 2, the linebacker, Jack Campbell, baby. The meat missile, as Spenmo Rax would say. This man has been elite. I looked at the whole defense. I could have gone Kirby. I could have gone Za'Darius. I could have gone AG again. Guess what? The whole Lions team could get a Kool-Aid Jug after this performance. I went and got Jack Campbell. 9 total tackles, half a sack, tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit. That man was everywhere all over the field. After Anzalone goes down, steps up again. This guy has been one of the best defensive players on this team. You have Brian Branch on your team, who's probably the best defensive player in the NFL right now. Your second best defensive player right now, Kirby Joseph and Jack Campbell. Those guys right now are holding it down. And then you still have Aleem. You still have Za'Darius Smith. You have all these guys. Guess what? Jack Campbell, year 2, is already one of the better defensive players on this Lions football team. He does. Hey, first one of the year for Jack Campbell. Cheers to Jack. First Kool-Aid Jug of the year for him. That's number 2 for week 11. Shout out Jack Campbell. Last one. We already talked about him, guys. I think this is one of the more well-deserved ones. This man fought through adversity last week. All of the backlash, people like Jeff Iafrate going at him saying, hey, season's over for the man. He's done.
No.
He's done. Hey, let me get my monologue in here. He's done. Guy won't. He might bounce back. Season's over. Wrap it up. Throw the man up there. Week 11. Jared effing Goff, baby. 412 yards. Look, hey, Jeff, you see that? 24 for 29. The man missed 5 passes, 4 touchdowns, 158 passer rating, which perfect passer rating, by the way, if anyone was wondering. This man has put himself right back in after throwing for 5 interceptions. He said, hey, Jeff Alejandro Rodriguez, hold my beer. Hold my real American beer, Jeff. Let me show you something. Let me show you what an MVP looks like. Take this. And he went out there in a game, and you can say, oh, it's versus the Jags, a game where MVPs are supposed to be MVPs. And he went out there. He took the bull by the horns, and he threw for 4 touchdowns, 412 yards, and had a perfect passer rating. Jared effing Goff is – hey, there's no 4th this week. There's no 4th this week. What's his middle name again?
Thomas.
Jared Thomas Goff. Hey, shout out, I have an Uncle Tom. Jared effing Goff. Jared Thomas Goff. Hey, well deserved. Welcome back to the MVP race and the best team in football.
Good shit, Boone. I love it.
Love
I
it,
didn't
Boone.
appreciate the fake narrative there. Fake news at the end.
Sometimes you gotta stretch the truth a little bit.
We only have 3 this week.
Only three. I had to end it with Jared Goff, man. You know what's crazy with the Kool-Aid Jugs this week, guys, is there was just like I could have just I almost did it. I almost just gave 2 away, and I almost just said offense and defense. I was like that close to doing it. I almost wanted to.
I think another Kool-Aid Jug nominee. You might even you could throw maybe J-Mo in there.
Yeah.
But
like I'm trying to break it down. I got 1 wide receiver, 1 weapon. I could have got Gibbs. I could have got D-Mont.
Hey,
Like,
we got to do to you what you do to me and Lucas for our list. We got to be like,
Which fair. No, I love criticism. I take criticism, and I
J-Mo's trash or something.
Just like Jared Goff takes the bull by the horns
David
with
Montgomery,
the critics,
96
I'll
yards,
take the
2 tutties.
bad narratives. I'll take the criticism. Go ahead. I want to throw this out there though, just because I didn't get these guys, and as you guys don't when you guys do your list, I do. I still go out and get stats for other guys. Honorable mention, guys that missed it. Jameson Williams, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. D-Mont, 95 total yards, 2 tutties. 95 yards and 2 tutties. 95 yards and 2 tutties. Gibbs, 123 total yards, 1 touchdown. The running back groups, guys, the crew, 218 total yards and 3 touchdowns. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Maybe I should have done them as a whole. That is an unbelievable stat. And the Lions, too. And you know, the Lions team, I'll give them a Kool-Aid Jug, too. 36 first downs, 645 total yards, 8.5 yards per play. It's unbelievable. Defense only gave up 6 total points, 3 no touchdowns given up.
Yeah. Cam Little. Hey, Cam Little is a 60 bomber.
And you know what? I can give
about that post game. Cam Little got that boom.
Yeah, he's all right. He's decent.
Hey, we love
I'm taking Jake Bates.
Yeah. It's loyalty. We loved him coming out of college, but he's not with the Lions. So you know,
I love the Mizzou guy.
Where's he at?
I don't know.
Where did he go?
I think he might already be cut, to be honest.
Yeah.
Good boy, yeah, he didn't pass the conditioning test.
I think he might have gone to like Green Bay or something. Or
No, Green Bay.
What was his name? Mevis? Something like Harrison Mevis or something like that.
Yeah, I would do it. He might be at home.
Joe.
Let me see.
Hey, he's gonna be on the Michigan Panthers this year. Developmental.
Oh, he's currently a free agent. Oh, I know why he went to the Panthers, dude. Now he's not playing.
He wasn't kicking many.
Yeah, dude. No wonder, dude.
That's
tough. That's tough. Poor guy.
I rooted for him. He seemed like a good, That's fair.
And Easy said you couldn't give one to Kirby. I again,
You're on the
this
stand.
is what I run it. I've given Kirby probably 4 Kool-Aid Jugs this week or this year. He might him and actually into Easy. You're surprised. Who probably has the second most? Aaron Glenn. I've given Aaron Glenn probably the most Kool-Aid Jugs with Kirby Joseph. Him and Kirby.
They had it like hung up or something.
What do they do in their locker? It's like around the locker room. Who gets the most Booner Kool-Aid Jugs?
Kool-Aid. Oh, that's funny as hell.
No, I don't know. It's tough. Like a game like that, again, like I was so close to just doing like offense and defense. Just because everyone played so well.
Did a good job. Drop your mailbag questions. Any questions? Go ahead. Go ahead and drop them.
Do we mention the Iffy injury, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for sure.
That's tough, dude.
Yeah,
Dan Campbell comes out today and says if he has another injury, they activated him, I think, officially from the IR. Like they put him on. I think he's on the roster, but he's not going to be good for a couple weeks.
Yeah, he came back, and we saw last week he had a full practice, and then we noticed the next week Emmanuel Mosley had a full practice, but if he was limited, so it was like odd. It was odd, but now it makes sense. Dealing with something, it stinks, man. You want to see if he back sooner than later. Easy says, Mailbag, how many Lions players make top 100?
Trying to do the math right now.
7. I'm counting already.
Branch,
8,
Kirby,
9.
Amon-Ra, Jameer.
Branch, Kirby, Aleem or DJ Reader? No, probably not. To be honest, so those are probably those 2. Jared Goff will. He did last year. Jahmyr Gibbs will. Amon-Ra will. Laporta probably won't next year. Panay will. I would say I would go 8. That was 6 right there. I think 2 guys would be like surprised. Like D-Mon, I'm sure will get in potentially. And then there will be probably 1 surprise player. I would say 8. I don't know how many we had last
Maybe
year.
they throw Hutch at like 100.
Oh, Hutch 100% will be. Yeah, we forgot about Hutch. Hutch will be. Yep, that's 8 right there. And then there's still room, like if someone surprisingly Frank, but he wasn't. He never
made it last year, did he?
They don't put centers in it for some reason.
Yeah.
I have Branch, Kirby, Jameer, Goff, Amon-Ra, Panay, Frank, Hutch. Frank maybe be the maybe. I don't know.
Or no Monty?
No.
I think you have a argument.
It sounded bad, but I think he'll just miss the cut.
Brandon Aubrey just missed the field goal.
He would just miss the cut. Just because you got to think 100 players in the NFL. I mean, these are top, like, I mean, Monty will probably be in hundreds.
I think 8 is a good number. If someone knows how many we had last year, I would love to know.
Yeah, like 7. I like that number. I don't mind that.
Line set 7.5 then.
Yeah, this game is the Cowboys are kind of making this somewhat of a game, I guess. 17-10 going into half. At first,
they just missed a field goal. It should be 17-13.
Oh, 17-13.
Boys.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of early. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. To be honest with you, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Touchdown callback. Fucking.
Yeah, Michael's right. What's up with all the kickers missing? I mean, you see Justin Tucker, guy can't hit it. I mean, McPherson,
he's a great kicker. And he's been missing multiple game winners.
Dude, the top kickers are struggling a little bit. There's a couple guys that are been consistent, but not like the typical guys.
What it might be is that like kickers are just starting to kick from farther away. Like you see, like we talked about it, I think Sunday, guys are like 60 yarders. This like maybe that's a part of it to where it's like, you know, I don't know.
But even Tucker missed like 45, 48. Like he was missing like, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what's going on with Justin Tucker, dude. I really don't. How do you be that great for so long and then just have? I guess it just happens. I guess.
Yeah.
He's always made it look so easy, and then
you're eventually gonna start missing.
He's always missing. He might be near his end.
Did Jason Hansen ever eventually start missing? I don't think he did. Did he? He just retired.
Matt Prater's still doing it.
Yeah.
Justin Tucker's 34. He's not like Justin Tucker.
Dude, he's been in the league like 10 years though.
Booting him from 60 plus.
I would love to get Jason Hansen on the show. I've tried before. He just doesn't. He's old. He's an old head. He did no social media basically, and no, he is. Like that's a fact.
Easy.
He's like 50.
Don't disrespect the hand.
He's an old
dude. He's one of my. He was the first Lion. Dude, he was like the first Lions player I've ever met in my life. Dude, I love Jason Hansen.
Don't disrespect the hand.
Would never. He's just an old head though. He's like 50. I respect the old heads.
Everyone watching that's 50 is like just caught astray.
I apologize, dude. Like when I get 50. When I get 50, I'd expect young people to be like, "Hey, you old head. What's up, man?"
What's up, man? How you doing?
I hope I make it. I hope I make it past 50, dude. I've said this multiple times. I think it's a bad thing to say. I think once I hit 50, I'm like, I've lived a good life. Like whatever happens from here happens.
No, like that. Why? Why at 50?
That's like my life expectancy, whatever that word is. 50, and then just 50 is just like, hey, here we go, man. Like. I made it.
Okay.
Bad probably outlook, to be honest. I've had people tell me don't say that.
Yeah,
terrible outlook. Bowling license Mailbag. Who do y'all think will be the 7 NFC playoff teams? So
NFC.
And this will at least I think top 3 or top 2 Lions, Eagles, and you can order these how you want. I think it'll be Cardinals, Falcons, because you got the NFC West. Maybe the Rams will win it, but I got the Rams in there as well. And then I got the Packers. That's 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the Vikings, so 7. So the only teams outside of the NFC North would be the Rams, Falcons, Cardinals, Eagles.
Yeah, so the division winners, Lions, Eagles, Falcons.
Commanders are going to be in there too, though.
Yeah, so it's going to be Lions, Eagles, Falcons, and then I'm going to probably go, just to be safe, I'm still going to go the 49ers, another 5-5. They're a game back. And then I probably would go Cardinals, Vikings, and then Commanders. That's my 7.
No Packers?
Oh, Packers. It's going to either be Packers or Vikings. I don't think they're going to get to – NFC North's only going to get 2 teams in. I think the Commanders still end up winning and getting in, and I think the NFC West gets 2 teams in. I think the North gets 2 teams in, and the East gets 2 teams in.
I mean, unless I guess a collapse, I think 3 NFC North teams get in. Like I honestly, I
I
think
mean, they play each other still though, so it's like someone's got to lose.
I think they can hold. I mean, it depends, I guess. I mean, if the Packers go on like a losing skid, but I think honestly that last spot will be decided by. I mean, I think Washington will have some teams sneaking up on them.
I agree.
I don't know, but yeah, Cardinals. I don't know if they'll win the. I think I like the Rams. To still, hey, I picked the Rams to win that division. I still like them.
I think you have to look at it like if you're the Rams, Cardinals, Commanders, Vikings, and Packers. I think those 5 teams right there, you're all like in a battle. Like you're looking at each other's records every week. You're going, okay, we have to get to the top of that 5 list there because those 5 teams are going to be the teams that get those final wild card spots. That's how I look at the race, to be honest.
Well, who do the Commanders face this week?
Easy win.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cowboys.
Oh.
No, they're off this week, so they play the Cowboys after their bye.
Got it. Yeah, you don't let them lose 3 in a row. Can't do that.
Cowboys just need to go into the half here. They're like trying to sling it out. Just get to the half,
they're
man.
going to get into a problem.
Throw like a pick 6 here. I wouldn't mind like a CD Lamb catch because I have him 5 catches, and I think he has 1.
Yeah,
Who?
I got C5 as well.
CD, I think he has 1 catch.
No, he doesn't. He has 4.
He's got
Does
4.
he? Oh,
Yeah.
Good. He had 0. You know what it is? The app that I use, they're
Doesn't
not
update.
updating, dude. It's bothering me. They still had Joe Mixon with 1 total yard, and I'm like, there's no way.
You need Nico to play more snaps here. I mean, he's got we need a Nico bomb. That's what we need.
Yeah, it can always happen.
Like a Nico 40-yard bomb. He had 3 TDs in 5 games when he was healthy. So TD, I don't know. I'm liking it.
The Cowboys are so dumb. They literally it's 4th down with still time left on the clock.
Mike, I saw a report that Bill Belichick could be tied to him.
No.
I don't think he will. He wants a little bit of control.
Him and Jerry Jones would no.
I think
Those
I'm
are
gonna be
two
honest.
dudes who run the show.
I think I agree, but I think Bill is the only one Jerry would like. Like he's on his level in terms of like.
I don't think so.
You don't think even Bill?
Because Jerry has, and it might sound stupid, but Jerry has so much money where he doesn't give a fuck what anyone says. So I don't know. That's
fair.
Jerry. It's Jerry's world until passes on. But
Bill, he's got a good relationship with him.
you know what I'd love to see? I would love to see Bill in Cincinnati. That'd be
God.
Get Zach Taylor, bro. What do the Bengals need? Defense. You have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You're fine.
Yeah, I don't think. No. You're wrong.
Love to see
No,
Rabel in Cincy too.
why is Zach Taylor getting why is he just out of there? What's wrong with Zach Taylor?
I mean, I think they're
They
like
need
Zach
they need
Taylor.
defensive players for sure.
I think there's only so many you have so many opportunities to win it, and then I think Zach Taylor's the thing that's holding them back. Honestly, if we're being real, especially some of the decisions that he was making late down the stretch of that game.
Okay.
I just don't think that's a Super Bowl caliber team. Maybe not this year, but
Who?
the Bengals, that's a team that can go win a Super Bowl. I don't think they'll ever win one under Zach Taylor.
I mean, they got there with him. I thought at that time I was like, Zach Taylor's a good coach, but as you start getting there, though, it's like you do. You just because you went to a Super Bowl, there is a point to where there is a cutoff where it's like you have a very talented team and you're not going to make the playoffs. Like I don't care if T. Higgins was out. I really don't. You still have to find you don't think Dan Campbell and Cincy would have the record they have? 0 chance. They would have 8 wins already.
I guess. I'm not. They got to fire somebody. I guess I look at coaching as if you what side of the ball are you or do you specialize in, and is that side of the ball figured out? You know what I mean? That's
Rumo, he's a good DC.
At some point, if you're not winning games, though, you are the head coach. Someone is responsible for it. It usually falls on the head coach.
True. I always looked at Dan when the defense was bad at the start. I'm like, they'll be fine. I'm not going to.
You know where Belichick could go? The Jags. I know it's tough for him, but it's the roster. The roster.
Don't let Trevor Lawrence get Bill. No,
there is they do have pieces. It's not that they don't have pieces. And you go in there and they spend money. They're willing to go out there and spend money and pay them and they want to win. Tony Khan and those guys just want to win games. They have an unlimited checkbook.
Unlimited.
Is it Russell Wilson unlimited?
Hey,
or-
imagine a Bill to the Bears. That'd be gross.
Yeah. I do think it would be sick just to see Bill go get the all-times win record. So I do hope someone takes him, and I hope he doesn't go somewhere where it's like a rebuild. I hope it's just like go in there and win.
Dallas. I think it's Dallas.
I don't
I'm
know.
telling you.
You
Jerry is gonna.
think he like what?
How do I
build
phrase
then?
this? Jerry's doesn't have much time left, so he's gonna want to bring in a guy who can help him accomplish that goal
His
quickly.
son.
I
Even-
think Jerry knows that. He's self-aware. He's like, you know what? I'm getting old. I want a Super Bowl. I want to see it one last time. It's been so long.
One more time.
I think
You guys know that song?
self-awareness and Jerry Jones do not go hand in hand.
At all.
Like
At all.
I disagree. We'll see. I don't think Jerry
Dude,
will bring in like an
Jerry
assistant.
Jones has not won in 40 years. Like it is almost to the point where the Cowboys have not won almost as long as the Lions have in that stretch of football.
Yeah,
And
I
they're
think it'll
still
be
the
that way.
America's team. He is never gonna like come to grips that he needs to let go and just let someone else take control of this thing. He never will.
That was so delayed. It might go on you like through. Hold on, let me rephrase this.
Can
They
you get
might
me
go
off the
full
screen? What's
screen
going on
you
here?
like 3 times because that was so delayed. I
don't
tried
know.
doing that.
You
at
know
the
what?
beginning of your spiel.
Clip
Jeff,
this.
I don't hate the idea though.
Clip
'cause
this
so-
when he's with the Cowboys next offseason.
I wouldn't be shocked, dude. I don't hate that.
He's the only one that would command.
He's not going to want to put up with the media in Dallas, the attention, the contracts going on right now there are horrendous. He's going to have to deal with the Jerry Jones thing. Fuck no. Bill's going to go to like a place that isn't like
Oh, what
But
about? Can I throw one
the
out there?
Giants.
No, I don't think he wants
Abel
to.
getting
Not
fired?
able.
I don't think. I'm looking right now, so I'm in the AFC East.
Returning to New York.
The Miami Dolphins might. I mean, they've been in a bad spot.
The Jets.
He will never go to the Jets.
He played-
Yeah.
he
Him and the
played
owners
for-
hate each
coached
other.
for the
He
Jets.
no, yeah, and I think he hung it up. Him and the owners butted heads really quick. Him and
I've heard
Woody Johnson.
Cleveland. He coached in Cleveland before too.
Oh my god! You
I
guys
don't
are
want him in
just
Cleveland, dude.
crappiest. If
I don't
I'm
want him in
if I'm Bill, I'm not going to Cleveland, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. They don't even have an indoor practice facility. Like I'm Bill Belichick.
Foxborough doesn't either. You douche.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know exactly where.
Hey,
Yeah, but you got
but-
Brady.
I know exactly where he's going, and
New
I'll die on
England?
the hill.
better than that. I'll tell you that. It's Boston.
I'll die on the hill. Are you guys ready for this one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Here, Boone.
The Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce is out this offseason. Tom Brady is now the owner or part owner of the Raiders. And he goes, Bill, we want you. And he ends up going there. And I know they don't have a quarterback. You don't have a guy yet. Bill will figure it out. They have pieces. They have
Bill
pieces.
will figure it out all right, facing Sean Payton and Andy
They're
Reid.
going to give him the biggest check.
You think
They're going to give him
Bill
the biggest
Belichick
check.
is scared of Sean Payton?
No.
Oh, with that roster, he should be.
He's going to help. Dude, he's going to
that
look at the
roster
roster and be
is
like,
ass.
boom, new
That
roster.
roster is ass.
Come on,
He-
Max
he can go
Crosby.
there. Yeah, Jacoby Myers,
They,
great.
they
player.
got Mini Gronk over there with Brock Bowers.
Yeah, they have
Come on,
pieces.
come
Klotz, they
on.
have pieces.
If they
Hey,
draft
They
Shedeur,
got
I like it as a spot.
Klotz.
I don't hate it.
Ball
Shedeur's-
knower Klotz.
Shedeur, yeah. He's a Dallas Cowboy.
He's a
all
Las
right.
Vegas Raider.
Quarterback taken in the draft. Don't say
Cl-
that.
Klotz,
Don't
you
say
need to
that.
pick
Don't
your
spread that
team.
narrative.
Die on your hill. I got the Raiders. Jeff,
If I die, give me a second. Jeff, you're dying on the Cowboys.
I'm
Yeah,
on the Raiders.
He wants a proven quarterback. He doesn't want a rookie. Kidding me?
Wants Dak Prescott on 60 mil though. Okay. This is tough. Like if I had to pick one, I'll say
You could pick one of our teams too if you want.
I like the Raiders a lot. I do.
Go ahead. Take it.
I'm
I like
gonna
it.
lock in the Bears. I'm gonna lock in the Bears.
Okay. Jeff's not going to know what to do because Caleb Williams with Bill Belichick. Ooh.
No, that if he does,
I'm trying to think of like a different one. I'm trying to think of like head coaching hirings. He's not going to go to Jacksonville. Fuck that.
No. I think besides the Cowboys, the Saints probably with Tom Brady makes sense.
Raiders.
I still don't think it's the Raiders though. I don't think he goes that. Excuse me. Just sneeze. I don't know if that's That's a sign. Like, shut up, Jeff, end the show. All right. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you all, as always, tuning in, supporting the channel. Continue to support by watching, subscribing, liking the stream, as always. And you can check out our Sunday programming and our merchandise, officialctsports.com. Until tomorrow, we'll be back.
Love you guys.
Appreciate you all.
Kiss the
And
mic.
we will catch it. See you.
Peace.